Do you feel like when you throw your controller in anger that the PlayStation 4 controller will do more damage?
It has done more damage. I had to fill in some holes when I moved my car. Not even just holes, like just huge dents
Oh my god.
in the wall.
You should probably be a little closer to the mic too.
Should I?
Alex.
Okay.
That's not 6 inches. That's like
I'm not,
Absolutely.
Jeremy, you know, I'm like some people, I'm not used to 6 inches near my face.
God damn it. God damn it. I walked right into that one. I've been running 3 times a week, and I've been having this problem as I'm running, and I don't know if you guys experienced it. Like, Alex, I know you probably haven't run too much. Joe, I know you've had some experience, so I'm hoping like maybe you'll give me some clues. But I've been running, and when I'm running, I've been experiencing a phenomenon known as shrinkage. Shrinkage while I'm running of the genital region.
That's so strange.
I feel like maybe it just has to do, like, that'll go away with time. It's probably to do with, like, your blood pressure and your body
Your
needing to use that
body's
blood
literally
elsewhere.
dying.
So it's bringing all the blood and you're focusing through the rest of your body.
That actually makes a lot of sense,
Taking
Alex.
away
'Cause I
from
do
down
feel like I'm
Yeah.
dying. I feel like my spirit is about to like leave my body every time I'm running, and not in like a nice way.
So it could, with more exercise, your body may, like,
I mean,
get used to it.
for all I know, that could be completely normal. That happens to everybody. But I've just never thought about what's
Yeah.
going on while I'm running down there.
I mean, I guess I'm just thinking too much about my own penis, but
Yeah.
I think that's right, Alex. I'm just out of shape, and they need it. That blood needs to go to like my lungs and my
Yeah,
heart,
exactly.
so I don't fucking drop dead.
It probably happens to everybody who is starting to work out. We just don't notice it.
I'm sure some people know. I'm sure I'm not the first person to notice it.
Yeah. Maybe at the gym and stuff if you're a gym person.
Anyway, so thank you. I think so. Basically, I just need to get more fit. I need to stop thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
And once I get in a little better shape, my dick will grow, and
It'll be just flopping around as
huge
you want
and
it
just
to be.
very like distracting for everyone else who's running. So that's my hope. So maybe not 3 months because it'll be January, but maybe in 6 months, you see me running, catch me outside, and I'll be
Catch you outside.
keep your eyes above the waist. That's all I'm trying to say.
Man, this is an interesting intro. I'm still not really past the street monkeys. Are there actually monkeys in the streets?
Yeah, dude. There's
You
monkeys in the
haven't
streets.
seen this?
Yeah.
No. So
They have entire like almost like kingdoms and
like
territory
packs?
and turf.
That's so
And
but they're actually like groups of like where you see like wild cats and stuff, and they have like groups that wander the streets.
Yeah, and
But
they're super
monkeys.
aggressive. Like
Yeah, and they're
just
way
in the
fucking
middle of the
smarter
city.
too.
Yeah.
And they steal.
They steal, yeah.
I thought you guys were joking when you said they were monkeys.
I mean,
They're
I don't think I'm
literally monkeys.
joking, but I don't really know.
I've never heard of
Well,
They
the
become really
problem
cool.
is they become like a tourist attraction, so people
Yeah,
come and they
feed them
crowd
and
in
stuff.
and then feed them, and then the pack grows, and then they get more aggressive because if you don't give them something, they're like, everybody gives me something. Like, I'm going to take your watch. I'm going to punch you in the face.
You guys ever met a monkey? Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They're not cute
Well,
when
in
there's
India,
like
they
50 of them.
steal
though.
your wallet
terrifying.
and then,
Beat the crap out of you.
yeah, and leave you bleeding in the street.
Oh my god.
Sounds like the beginning of fucking Planet of the Apes or something, man.
What a world.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
hey,
where it's
dude.
going to start.
We don't have that problem here. We just have I don't know what we have here.
We have moose.
We have moose, we have deer.
You fucking don't want to cross
Bears,
paths
tons
with
of black bears.
We got a lot of badass raccoons around.
You got a lot of raccoons.
A
Yeah,
lot of raccoons.
yeah. A lot of fucking raccoons. That's for sure.
Some coyotes.
But have you guys ever seen like a moose like up close? Like, you've ever been driving and there's a fucking moose in the middle of the
have.
road? Yeah,
Terrifying.
It's
The problem
fucking
is,
terrifying.
I didn't even see it until I was beside the car, but we'd already driven past it because it was extremely like some of the hardest rain I've ever driven through. So visibility was like nothing.
terrifying.
It was like 100. I think the speed limit was 100. I was doing like 60 because it was like it's a known moose highway between New Brunswick and PEI. Or between Nova Scotia and PEI. And so I was going slow, looking, keeping my eyes peeled. I still didn't see it until it's like taller than the car. It's just this hulking thing on the side of the road. Taller than the car.
And if you have to choose between monkeys or grizzly bears and moose, like, I don't know which is worse, but like I feel like the motivations of like a moose or a grizzly bear are like their motivations are more simple. Like, I kind of understand, like, okay, you want to eat me, But monkeys, I feel like they're.
I don't think a moose wants to eat you. That'd be really messed up.
I don't know, man. I don't know what their diet's like.
Just rabid moose eating people.
What if they started eating meat though? That would be like holy shit. Imagine how big they would be then.
Yeah.
Like
Jeez.
fucking super
Terrifying.
moose. But monkeys, I feel like they could just get real weird with things. Like they're like almost like humans, so they can be into almost anything. Like who knows what they want when they drag us up to their fucking trees or whatever. Like who knows what they're gonna do with us afterwards, man? They'd probably like try to fucking mate with us or try to like I don't know, like steal our faces, try to wear our faces.
That's my thing. Monkeys, I feel
men.
like they're gonna go for your face and just literally try to like rip your face off. And I feel like you'd be more helpless against like a determined monkey trying to attack you than you would a moose. A moose, like you could just move around. You've got the agility angle, but like a monkey's probably faster than you and more agile than you.
And possibly smarter than some of us too.
Probably.
All right, guys. So do you guys want to start talking about the PlayStation 4? Or do we want to just keep? We just want to keep talking about this
We just need a nature podcast.
because I
Oh my
mean,
God.
Talk about all the animals.
I'm down for that. I'm down for
That
that.
would actually be sick.
Some National Geographic, except without all the beautiful imagery. Okay, PlayStation 4, guys. It's been 7 years. Hard to believe. So this console was announced in February 2013 at a live reveal event. So similar to kind of what we got a couple months ago with the PlayStation 5. And I think that really got the hype going. When did you guys first hear about PlayStation 4 being a thing?
I don't even remember at this point. For me, I've never really been too tapped in, especially back then with console releases, because I generally don't buy consoles at launch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think usually by the time like console release comes, even before they announce, you're like, okay, we're ready for a console. It's probably coming this year. So
Yeah.
I think for me, it was expected
Yeah.
when it came.
Yeah.
So back then, I probably watched the reveal because I was into games media at that point. But we've discussed this before. I feel like I was in a very different place at that point in time in terms of console gaming. I didn't really like the PS3 that much.
Yeah.
That whole generation really wasn't for me. So I don't know if there was a lot of hype at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I probably would have watched it. I actually was working at a comic book store at that point. So I think I had a lot of discussions with people there surrounding it. But yeah, not a lot of hype, I don't think, at that point for me.
Understandable. I think I didn't watch the reveal event. I don't think I learned about it, and I probably like saw a headline shortly after that. I think I had probably heard some rumors, but I was kind of in my FIFA period at that point.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was literally the first game I bought with my PS4 was FIFA 15. So that just tells you where I was at in terms of that. But through this generation, I feel like actually really got me back into the video game industry because similar to you, PS3 was. I probably enjoyed my PS3 a little bit more than you and probably got a little bit more use out of it. But it was a change of things for me that I wasn't really that into.
Me too.
And PS4 kind of brought that back, and it actually brought me back to the gaming industry where I'd kind of taken a step back for like a couple years just because I wasn't interested in a lot of the games that were coming out. And whatever point in my life, I was probably just fucking smoking a lot of weed and like drinking a lot and was watching a lot of soccer and like playing a lot of poker, doing things like that. I was just kind of into different things for a little bit there.
Yeah, I guess when it came out, thinking back now, I probably wasn't that hyped because I was just really into PC games then.
Me too, Joe.
Because, I mean, it came out around the time that SWTOR was big and Guild Wars 2 was big, and I was playing that. And so, yeah, it probably wasn't huge on my radar, console gaming in general at that time.
Also, I feel like the narrative around that time was that like this is going to be the last consoles. Like consoles are going to die, basically.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing. And so maybe there wasn't a lot of hype. And then I think once it was released, we saw that that's not the case and that consoles are here for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah. That was actually probably also around the time of StarCraft 2.
It was big competitive. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually, I think.
So, yeah.
competitively.
That was a strong time, I think, for PC gaming in general. And so, because I didn't even get a PS3 at all until I bought your PS3 when you were done with it, which was probably when you got a PS4 or something like that.
I had two PS3s.
Yeah, so I had the white one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get a PS4 after that? Like right after that?
I don't know. I feel like maybe.
Yeah. So I feel like it was
The
probably
PS3
around-
that I have now, that's my third PS3 actually, because I had my fat PS3, the backwards compatible one, and then I had the white one, which I got. Basically, I just picked off someone. It was like a good deal, and I think I wanted it. It came with like a bunch of controllers, so I wanted it for that. And then I sold you that one, and then mine died. My original one died. And I think that was after I had my PS4. My original PlayStation died, and all my saves. I had all my saves from PS1, 2 memory card transferred up to the PS3 on the hard drive.
Brutal.
And I had like my Ultimate Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 tactics files, and like various files that I put a lot of time into. I lost them all. When I literally could have backed them up on my computer, but I just didn't because I was like, oh no, this PS3 will never die.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because actually my PS3, we're getting off topic, but my PS3 fucking died 3 weeks after I got it. So I don't know why I wouldn't think that it could die again. But
Yeah. Well, for me, like PS3 golden years for me was like 2015 to like 2017 is when I played the most PS3. and then in 2017 is when I got a PS4, and then my PS3 just went untouched after that. And I started loading up the PS4 with games.
yeah.
Still have a huge backlog of games that I got through PS Plus and that I bought on the PS3 that I just never even played.
Yeah, so like I said, it was announced in February 2013, and it actually launched on November 15th, 2013. So when's PS5's coming out on the 12th? Yeah.
Yes. I
So
think
basically the same launch line, like literally the same week.
Yeah.
Basically just 7 years later. So yeah, November 15th in North America and November 29th in Europe, Australia, South America. So 2 weeks later. And it was released at $3.99 USD. So that was the retail price. I feel like that was huge.
it's a good price.
That was good. I think the Xbox One was $4.99 when it came out. So I think that extra $100 was a big factor why people jumped onto PS4. Even when Xbox 360 had been so popular, I feel like a lot of people did migrate to PS4.
It had the Kinect built in at the beginning, didn't it?
Yeah, it had Connect,
Yeah.
and it had always online as well was another thing.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Weird.
And I think if we look at the messaging between those two companies, PlayStation, they focus in on gamers first,
Yeah.
and Xbox, they were like, no, this is for video games, but it's for everything else as well. They wanted your like cable to be hooked up to the Xbox One. And it's so weird looking back at the 2020. It's like most people, at least our generation, a lot of us don't even have cable.
No.
So it's really not something we want or need, and definitely to drive the price of the console up for something like that seems crazy in hindsight.
I think we've seen a big change in Xbox. Definitely, I know this is a PlayStation focused discussion, but Don Matrick had a very different vision in his group, I guess, at that point in time, a very different vision for what Xbox should be versus what Phil Spencer has kind of done with Xbox.
Yeah.
And I definitely like Phil Spencer's version a lot
I think
more.
everyone does.
Yeah, it seems like it's following PlayStation. It's gamer focused, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think basically the PS4 launched in an atmosphere where Xbox had basically handed them the generation.
Yeah.
So
It's so weird. And, it's companies, they seem to do this. Like Sony kind of handed the previous generation to Microsoft.
Yeah.
But then Sony later actually caught up and surpassed, but it was still very close. But for a while there, like, it looks like Sony really lost hopefully that doesn't happen with PS5. So I mentioned those release dates, but it actually didn't launch in Japan, which is Sony's a Japanese company. It didn't launch in Japan until actually the next year, 2014, in February.
It's so weird.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I
Did you
wasn't
know
aware
that
of it.
before, Alex?
I didn't know that.
Why do you guys think that was?
Yeah.
I assume it's just a zero. Like the U.S. is their biggest market. I think that's just what they were going for.
I think it's just, I don't know how big Microsoft, like Xbox is in Japan, but I feel like Sony probably looks at it like we have a limited amount of production that we can pump out early on. Let's send it to the competitive market.
True.
And like nobody's going to just not buy, and like nobody in Japan's not going to buy a PS4 just because they had to wait a few extra months for it.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a strategic decision. Put it where the competition is. Because if you don't have enough production in North America at launch, those people are going to be like, well, I'll just get an Xbox because I can actually get that.
Yeah.
So I think it made sense.
I also feel like gaming in Japan at that time was very, very handheld and mobile focused too. So they probably thought it wouldn't be as much of a hit. People wouldn't be missing out on it as much. Where their culture was just gearing towards, being in transit basically
Yeah.
and being able to play your games on the go.
Yeah.
I think that probably had a lot to do with it.
That's interesting. They're making a lot of moves that I guess they have historically moves that kind of benefit the rest of the world over Japan. Like, did you read recently that they're switching the X and circle buttons for Japan?
Yeah.
It's pissing them off.
It's weird. I mean,
Why are they doing that?
we know that from back in the day. I think just from like playing like something like FF7, where everything was where enter was circle, right? Whereas most games you play, X would be like the default input or whatever. So I think we kind of understand but it stayed the same. It's still been circle for them for most games. It's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah,
It's weird that they're making the change now with PS5, but no idea.
I don't know. And so I think PS5 is launching in North America and Japan, and then I think Europe a week later.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Japan will get the PS5 same time, I believe. But since launching, it has gone on to be a very big success, the PS4. It's actually the number 2 best-selling console of all time.
It's crazy.
Not including handhelds.
Right.
So it actually sold 112.1 million units as of time of recording. So we can imagine it's going to sell another, at least probably maybe 10 million?
Yeah, probably.
Before it's all said and done. Or maybe even more. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
They'll be able to cut the price now when the PS5, because they'll probably cut it back even more.
Yeah.
If they want to go that route. So just for reference, I believe it's the second best selling console. Number 1 is PlayStation 2, which is 155 million.
It's crazy.
And number 3 is actually the original PlayStation, which is just over 100 million units. Are you guys surprised that it's sold that much? Are you surprised that it's the second best selling console of all time?
No, I guess because other than the PS3, it's kind of consistent with how Sony systems should sell, really. And
Yeah, they expect 100
There
million.
is a bit of growth in the games industry, too. There's more gamers now, too. So you should get higher sales number on consoles, I think.
And it was like I said, it was a better price point than PS3 when it started off.
Yeah.
Obviously, the PS2 and PS1 were much cheaper, but also they were 25-year-old consoles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the success. I feel like PS4 is everywhere, dude. Like, advertisements, like, as a huge fan of the Premier League, like every weekend you see PlayStation on the displayed proudly there. Also, PlayStation's really big in Europe too, from what I understand.
Yeah. I think more of my surprise is on Xbox and how few they sold.
Yeah.
More so than how many PlayStation sold.
Yeah, and like Xbox One sold about 50 million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So PS2 has sold it by double,
Yeah.
more than double.
And I think Xbox 360 sold over 80 million or around 80 million-ish.
Yep.
And so big drop for Xbox.
And so I'll also mention some other competitors to the PlayStation 4. So we had the Xbox One, but the Wii U, 13.5 million units.
Woo! I have one.
Joe has one.
I sold it actually.
Wasn't it gifted to you though? You didn't
Yeah, it
you
was
didn't give
gifted.
Nintendo your money. Joe's never given Nintendo a fucking cent, I feel like.
I bought the Wii U before the price drop. I was so sour they didn't do an ambassador program like they did for the 3DS.
Yeah.
I was so bitter.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I support your console. $50 more than I should.
It wasn't even worth an ambassador fucking.
Oh my god, it's horrible.
But then we had the Switch, which sold 62 million, and it's only been out for what, 3 years?
Yeah, I'll be shocked if the Switch doesn't pass 100 million, or at least the family of Switch consoles.
Yeah, I think the Switch sales will probably go down now that the new consoles are out, or it's just the cheap alternative that people are still going to turn to.
Well, we got the rumored Switch Pro coming in
I think
2021 as well.
That's probably very likely. It seems if they want to compete at all and try to get any of those like third-party releases that they've been fortunate enough to get,
Exactly.
like if they want to get any of the new games,
Ported over.
they're going to need something on a Pro. But
Yeah.
I don't know how that works for people with regular Switch SKU. Then, but it could get a bit messy. But Switch is doing good. But yeah, Switches are outsold Xbox One already in like 3 years on the market.
But the Xbox had no exclusives. Like it just overall, and we'll be discussing this in update soon. they're focusing now on acquiring more IPs and games. But for the most of this gen, like they just haven't had a lot. Game Pass, that was their big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and Game Pass, that only became a thing like halfway through, right?
Exactly.
And I honestly wasn't super aware until recently that they had that. Like Game Pass is, I think, a compelling offering, but
Sure.
like I wasn't aware of it. How many other people aren't necessarily that aware of it? As a like maybe at launch would have been the time to have it, and then you could have sold it because people are kind of hyped at launch. So
Yep. And I think this probably contributed to the sales because I feel like there was probably a few people that double dipped. But in 2016, in September, they actually released the PS4 Pro and the PS4 Slim. So the Slim was just basically the original PlayStation 4 in a new shell, smaller shell, cheaper materials. I'm assuming, but the PS4 Pro, that was sort of a new thing for consoles to have this sort of half step. So it's like a 4.5, if you will. So I feel like a lot of people, hardcore, like the most hardcore gamers, they probably would have bought a PS4 Pro to get that 4K support and the upgraded GPU or whatever. So that probably contributed a little bit. I think. Do you think that was a smart move for Sony, like in hindsight? Because I know at the time, a lot of people were like, what, why? But I think it makes sense given the way just tech, just the way phones. Like a lot of people get a new phone every year, right? So I think it's not too much of a stretch to think PlayStation 4, you'll get an upgraded PlayStation 4 at some point, a couple years down the line.
I think it showed a responsiveness to consumers because 4K became big, and they were like, "Well, you want 4K? Okay, like we'll help you out. We won't make you wait till the next generation of consoles." So I think it's consumer friendly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if how like business wise how many PS4 Pros they sold versus how much the cost was to develop it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it made them a lot of money or not, but.
I feel like it probably did. I mean, and it was also, I think the PS4 Pro was about $100 more than the regular. So
I think they had to, just for the fact that Microsoft was going to. Microsoft has been pushing power so much this gen that they couldn't really let their main competitor release this 4K console and not kind of have their own version to combat those sales.
If they had, then forever after, Xbox would be the hardcore gamer machine, and PlayStation would be like a casual machine. It would have fallen behind. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, that would have been bad because, like I said, the PS4 really appealed to the hardcore gamer, I think. So for them to lose that ground, that would have been a bit foolish on their part. But they didn't. PlayStation 4 has been a huge success. And I think I really want to talk about that focus on the hardcore gamer that we just mentioned. Like they just showed a respect for the audience that I think was missing with PS3, and Xbox was definitely missing that message. Huge for Xbox. And I mean, just quality games. It's like, let's focus on games.
I mean, I think they played the gen right at the beginning with the focus on games, exclusive content. They really worked all their studios to produce some really high caliber games this generation. And Xbox just didn't. So it gave them a huge competitive advantage this gen. I think we're going to see a different generation than this time around.
Yeah.
Because I think Microsoft has been putting a lot of resources into inorganic growth, buying up all these established studios and names to try and pump out some exclusive games so that they wouldn't repeat the same mistake. But yeah, PlayStation did a fantastic job in this gen.
And I think you see, like, with big games like Destiny, they sort of jumped ship from Xbox and moved onto PlayStation. Like you had the timed exclusive content would be on PlayStation 4 first, and that was a huge shift that we saw. And I think it became the place that all your friends were playing on PlayStation 4.
Definitely.
Whereas if you were playing COD like the previous generation, most people were playing on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of shifted.
I want to say it's really weird. I was like writing stuff for update. I'm trying to put into words, but in the last gen, in PS3, Xbox One or Xbox 360, it felt like there was so much resources went into kind of the console wars. It felt like they were really trying to win you over, and it felt like this generation that didn't happen. Sony literally was just like, here's all the awesome games and content we have, and Xbox just was like, here's Game Pass, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like at the end, at the beginning, it was just like they just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
It was just it's a very different shift in tone, and I think that won a lot of people because it felt a lot more genuine.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it was just focused on here's what we got, here's our games, come play them.
Yeah. For Xbox.
For
Oh,
PlayStation,
yeah.
and then Xbox just didn't say anything. They were just quiet and like, we're here.
Sony was like, yes, we got this game. We got this game.
Exactly.
And Xbox is like, we have games.
We
Trust
have,
us. We
have
games.
third-party games.
We have
and
third-party games.
They're more It's slightly more powerful.
Yeah, but I don't even think it was more powerful. That's the thing. And I think that focus on exclusives was definitely the huge thing. That's the thing that people are going to remember about Sony during this generation is they're just seemingly nonstop output of quality AAA single-player games mainly.
And you know what else I think they did? I think they really took advantage of E3s in the early and mid, like the Year of Dreams and stuff with
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Remake announced,
Yep.
Last Guard, like all these games.
Hype cycle.
The hype, man. The hype this gen has been unreal.
Yeah, no, totally. That's like there's always for PlayStation 4. There's always something to be excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not so much in the beginning because when I purchased it, like I said, I bought it with FIFA 15 because there was nothing else.
There was goddamn nothing.
That was my launch title, and I just played that for like a year. And I think the next game I bought was The Witcher 3. But from that
Wow.
point onwards, after that, I bought Type 0.
Oh god.
I bought Type 0 for the fucking episode Dusky
demo thing.
demo,
Yeah.
and fuck that game. But episode Dusky was sweet. Filled me with a lot of hope at the time. But yeah, so for like, I don't even really know why I bought a PS4. I think I was literally at a Target and I saw one. I was like, I'm gonna fucking buy one.
Impulse purchase?
It wasn't impulse, but I was like, I want to play FIFA on the new console. That's literally.
There wasn't anything at launch. So there's Infamous Second Son came pretty close to launch, right?
Yeah. I can get in. We'll get into some of the launch titles later on.
Okay, yeah, but there wasn't a lot.
The launch titles were Knack, and Killzone Shadowfall. Those were the first party ones.
What was the weird shooting game?
Resogun.
Resogun, yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
I don't know. I think that was like second party probably, but
Right.
there wasn't a whole lot going on for the first year or two. It was like you had, I think, like Black Flag, Assassin's Creed maybe launched. That was a launch title, and like a couple other third party games, but not a whole lot. But as the generation went on into year, like the third year, I feel like it really kind of started getting intense, and then there was always something to be excited about. If not from first party, then certainly third party games. But I think they'll be known for this. I feel like this is the generation where Sony Studios kind of really came into its own. You kind of had a bit of it on PS3. You had what Naughty Dog was doing with Uncharted and The Last of Us, obviously. But those games sort of set the groundwork for what Sony's kind of known for now. Now you have like God of War in a similar vein, similar level of quality. Horizon, the guys who were making Killzone made Horizon, and that was like their next game, and that was like huge. Like, oh, now we got a open world, big budget action RPG.
Yeah.
And Ghost of Tsushima, and the list just goes on. So I think that Sony Studios is now a thing, and you kind of associate that sort of big budget third person action adventure. That's like Sony's wheelhouse now.
True.
Yeah.
And maybe that will get a little bit old. Maybe that's even, you could argue, it's starting to get a little bit tired at this point. So maybe they need to add a couple more. Like I would love to see Sony add like a JRPG, or maybe I think they need another first person shooter, like an online shooter. And maybe a couple different genres to kind of switch things up. Because
Yeah,
I feel
I agree.
like you could look at Ghost of Tsushima and you could look at The Last of Us 2 and be like, these games look kind of similar just in terms of graphics, if nothing else, right? They play completely different. But I think Sony Studios really came into its own this generation. For me especially, like I played a lot of Sony's first party output. And I think we also have seen a good focus on indies as well on PlayStation 4. They made it, from what I understand, they made it a lot easier to self-publish games as an indie developer. So I think that leaves us with a lot of, you can find, like, there's games that you would find on the Apple, like, App Store, right, that are on PlayStation 4 as well. Like,
Right.
there's maybe not as much quality control. So you could argue that that's kind of a bad thing, but I feel like lots of indie games as well to sort of keep you satiated between these big releases. So that was really good. Like I think of like Overcooked,
Yeah.
and indies are just in a good place.
Yeah.
But
Oh, great. They're fantastic.
yeah, having that all on PlayStation 4 was great. SharePlay was a kind of a neat something we haven't seen before prior to this, and it really took advantage of the burgeoning sort of success and popularity of Twitch and other streaming services. The ability to just literally press one button and you can share your gameplay with your friends if you want, or you can broadcast it to the whole world.
Did you ever use that much?
I've used it a few times. I would have liked to have used it more, especially with JoyCircuit stuff, but we're not quite there yet. But I think that the accessibility is definitely huge.
Agreed.
I still have a ton of Final Fantasy VII Remake clips that I was just like taking every video I could from that game, and we never used the footage.
No, we didn't. It's because I'm too fucking lazy. Because the podcast was 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It was like, I don't want to match footage up to this.
Yeah.
You just put it on a loop. You just take it, string it together, put it on a loop.
I fucked up. So yeah, I think overall Sony's messaging was pretty clear and on point. And I feel like everything just kind of worked. The PlayStation Store sort of was better than it had been previously. It's still not great, but hopefully that'll continue to improve. But everything was just kind of better than the PS. It's like a better version of a PS3, I feel like.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add on that before we move on?
No, I guess. I'm sure we'll get through it all, but I think this has been a fantastic generation. A return to form, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One of the greater generations, I think, honestly, overall.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Sony had a huge.
I was much more involved in gaming on the PS4 than the PS3 and probably even the PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I think a lot of people feel that way. I definitely feel that way.
And it kind of continued, to me, it continued the shift to like all digital. Like I have a couple of games that I bought just because I could find significant savings on a physical copy over what. But I could have also waited for PlayStation Store to have like a sale too.
Well, let's talk about that, because I feel like at the beginning of the generation, most people were still buying physical.
Yeah.
But now, fast forward to 2020, and most people, I think, maybe not most people, but the majority are buying digital.
Yeah.
And we've seen that shift in one generation. And I think it really drives the point home when you see PS5 announced with two separate versions, one that's digital only, right?
Yeah.
So that has been a huge shift.
I wonder how much of that is just the accumulation of like PS Plus games that you get for free digitally. You just become used to having tons of digital games anyway. So why not just buy the games that you want to buy digital as well?
Yeah, I feel like, obviously we can discuss, the pros and cons of physical and digital some other time, but I think the digital is very appealing to a lot of people. And
do you know what really fucked up for a lot of people, I feel like? The removal of all these discount programs for physical media. Like how Amazon had the 20% discount early on in this gen.
Yeah.
Best Buy had their own program. And with those going away completely, and you're paying full price for physical now, it's like, why would I wait for something to ship to me that could be delayed? I may not get it day one, where I can just go on and download. And then with COVID, reinforces it even further.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to actually, anybody who was physical, you have to be really diehard now to really be pushing that, because...
Or you could just, physical, you can buy it, beat it in a week, and then sell it for almost full price again.
You can, and that's, I think the argument is that physical, you're not just paying for a license that could disappear one day.
Yeah.
You have a physical good. It's just for most people, just being able to go on, download it, maybe get a discount, and not have to deal with people and potentially catch a deadly virus. It's gonna trump.
But I think there's a lot of people out there, I think that's how they play their games, is they buy new right on day one. Like I generally won't buy a brand new game because I wait for it to go on sale on PlayStation. But if you can basically get the game for like $10 because you bought it, played it, and then sell it $10 cheaper.
True, though.
Yeah.
Because like even like a few months after a game comes out, I'll go just randomly Kijiji or something, a game, and see what's there. And usually maybe it's $20 less than new, and they sell.
Yeah.
There's something about buying a game day one physical,
Yeah.
And I'm like, with a lot, like me and you, Alex, for like a lot of times we don't even fucking play those games day one.
I know.
So I think like I plan on going all digital pretty much with PlayStation 5. And I think I'll be way less inclined to buy things day one. I think I'll only buy something day one if it's like fucking like
Must
Cyberpunk
play,
27, you know, or something like that, of that quality. Like if it's like a game like, oh, I definitely want to play that, but I got these games that I want to play to first. Like I'll just wait. I'll put it on my wish list and it'll be there.
I've lost hundreds of dollars this generation by buying things day one that I could have waited 2 months for and got on a huge discount.
Me too.
I bought games that I wish I didn't buy day one, and
Same.
if I'd waited a couple days and seen the reviews, I would never have bought them at all.
I bought Spider-Man day one, and I didn't play it for fucking 3 years, and then I played it for an hour, and then I sold it for nothing, basically.
It's brutal.
So, yeah, it's. I think hopefully I'll feel less pressure. Like I'll probably buy Demon Souls day one if I get my console day one. If I get my PS5 day one, I'll buy it because I want something to play. But other than that, it's like I'll wait. Like Ratchet and Clank, I'll probably get to that sometime, but I probably won't buy it day one. I still got to play the first one anyways. Like things like that, man. I don't know. Like,
see, I think I just have like a crushing experience in my gaming history that I think just ruined forever any nostalgia that would come from buying a physical copy day one. And it was like the only physical game I think one of the only games I've ever pre-ordered was Halo 2 Special Edition. I got the nice shiny steel case box, took it home, put it in my Xbox, and the thing wouldn't fucking work. And like that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
And it stays with me. It haunts me to this day.
yeah.
So now I don't want a physical copy, and I don't want to buy it day one.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we talked about like physical media and if it's good or bad and digital on the podcast quite a bit, but what at this point, what is the fucking point? You don't, like you were saying before, like, you don't get anything with it. You just get a fucking plastic case
Yeah.
Just resell.
and a fucking
That's the only
and a
benefit.
Blu-ray. That's
They need to give us those good manuals again.
yeah.
Then we have an argument.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to get into a bit of the actual design of the console. So the original, like I said, there's essentially three designs. There's the original design. There's the slim design, kind of the two stacks, and then you got the three stacks, which is the Pro, and not to mention a whole multitude of special editions, different colors and whatnot. So of those three designs, which one do you guys prefer the most?
I like my slim.
You like your slim?
Yeah. I just looked to see what the other ones looked like, and I only really just discovered that I have a slim. It was just the one that I bought. I think I looked back at the Amazon listing. It didn't say slim even on like the title anywhere. So.
I don't know that it was. I don't know that it says slim. I think it's just became the PlayStation 4 at that point.
And I bought it in 2017, a few years late.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got the nice gold slim.
Gold.
Amazing. I mean, even looking at PS5, I'm like, I just want to keep a PS4. It looks nicer.
Well, the PS5 looks all sorts of weird.
Yeah.
It looks like a weird thing.
But even just the color, because like, it even like works
Is it even gonna fucking fit in that slot there? I do not know.
on its side.
I hope so. Well, yeah, obviously.
Maybe.
Maybe it might fit. It's gonna be tight.
It looks real big.
Might overheat on it.
I heard it's like fucking 100 pounds or something.
It's just gonna crush your TV stand.
Oh,
But no, like my gold PS4 like is like a decor item. It's so freaking beautiful,
Yeah, I mean,
I
dude,
love it.
gold's nice, dude.
and even the shape. It is sleek and slick. This generation is definitely not beating it, but I think it's the best looking video game console.
See, I would agree with you, but I would agree that the original PlayStation 4 is the superior design.
It just looks a bit chunky to me.
It's
for
a
my
bit.
personal aesthetic.
I mean, it's less slim than what you're used to. But
You like them chunky.
no, I love it's sort of got like this angled thing in the front, and then it's
Well, the
flat on
Slim
the top.
has that.
It's got this nice sort of like geometric shape that I just enjoy, and I find it's very, and the light in the middle that lights up throughout the whole console. Like I just think it's a very nice design, and I think it's really in keeping with it reminds me of like a nice futuristic PS2.
Yeah. I see that.
It's got the same sort of like angles to it. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
and I really love the PS2 design too. Like it is. You're right. It is chunky and blocky, but I just feel like it's like on brand with like what I want from like a PlayStation console. And I feel like the PS3 reminds me more, like the OG PS3 reminds me more of the PS5. like it's in the weird territory
Yeah.
of
See,
just
I
looking
just-
like. And then the PS3 Slim, like that's a fucking beautiful piece of machinery as well.
Yeah, I like slim versions of pretty much any console better.
Yeah.
I just like slimmer.
Yeah, I mean the PS2 Slim was nice. But anyway, Alex, which one do you prefer of the three?
See, I don't really know. I just have the original, and I love the original. It's sharp as shit.
Yeah,
I feel like you cut yourself on that goddamn console. It's very edgy.
it is that. It's got an edgy vibe to it, man.
Yeah, it's pretty
What-
sharp.
I'll say one thing though, I do not like the look of the Pro. That 3 stacks, it just looks
Okay.
like Joe said, chunky. That's
Yeah.
fucking chunky.
That
to me.
is chunky.
Like it just looks, it don't look right to me.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, nice designs for consoles overall. Though. I
Yeah,
think like
yeah.
generally like they got it right in terms of the look. Like again, does it really matter what the console looks like?
I think it does.
It does to a certain degree, especially it's a big budget item that is for a lot of people it's the centerpiece of their entertainment, setup. So you want something to look, you want to be like focused on what's the screen and not be like, oh, what's this fucking beast lurking underneath,
Yeah.
staring at me like.
I mean, you want to be able to have guests in your house and not be embarrassed.
I think most of them, all three of the consoles, so the Xbox and the PlayStation and the Wii U box were all pretty smooth. I think they all were pretty nice consoles.
Yeah.
The tablet for the Wii U, not so much.
Not-
That's kind of clunky,
Yeah,
very
it
clunky.
was- yeah.
But
Yeah.
the others were all pretty good.
The Wii U like tablet looks like it was designed for like people who like you couldn't have any sharp edges, like you couldn't have any. Like, there's no way that
It looks like a
this
children's
console
toy.
cannot be a danger to anyone who like has like fragile mental health or anything like that. Like you give a Wii U to someone who's like on like suicide watch.
Jesus.
They can't hurt themselves with the
Or
Wii
they're
U.
just
Yeah,
a
it's very
kid.
round.
It's
is.
like one of those leapfrog
Yeah,
tablets
it
you get
does.
from kids for like $80 from Walmart. It can barely do anything. Cheap plastic.
But you know what? It led to that beautiful machine over there. So
It led to that beautiful machine. Yeah, the Switch also great.
fantastic.
And I mean, we're talking about this is a PlayStation 4 episode, but we're talking a lot about the generation as a whole. It's kind of hard not to at this
Gotta
point.
compare.
And we're looking at it through the lens of we're still in this generation of
Technically,
consoles, right?
yeah.
Like I think if we did this podcast like at the end of PS5 or whatever, we'd be looking more of a nostalgic lens, right? But very nice looking console, and I also think that the DualShock 4 was a nicely designed controller, and I was really happy that we finally got sort of a major overhaul. Maybe not an overhaul, but so much as an actual evolution of the DualShock, because I feel like it hadn't really changed much from the original DualShock that came out on PlayStation. Obviously, the PlayStation 1 had those original controllers, the very like thin ones without the analog sticks.
That's what I had.
They're so weird when you actually like pick them up.
Yeah.
It just feels wrong, dude. But like the DualShock, and that's like the PlayStation Classic when they released it without the DualShock. I feel like that was a fucking huge mistake, dude. And then they had Metal Gear Solid on there. Like
Trying to sneak around without it.
it's like
Yeah.
playing Metal Gear Solid without a DualShock seems weird to me, man. Like I don't even know if DualShock existed when, and that's the thing. I don't even know if DualShock existed when Metal Gear Solid came out. But that when I played it,
Yeah,
like I played it on a DualShock. PlayStation Classic, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so like you had the original controller, the DualShock, and then the DualShock 2 for PlayStation was essentially the same, just black. And then you had the 6-axis, which they actually removed the rumble when the PS3 first came out, and that was another sort of mistake. And they actually brought back and they made the DualShock 3 that had the rumble technology. But it was essentially the same as the PS2 one. It just was wireless now. So with the DualShock 4, we actually got the form factor was significantly enhanced. It actually felt different in your hands, and it had different analog sticks. The face buttons were very similar. The D-pad was very similar, but the triggers were a huge improvement over PS3. And then it also added the touchpad.
Yeah.
And that was a neat concept, and it seems like something they're sticking with. I don't know how much actual function it has. Some games really use it well. Like I know, like I think of Uncharted 4, flipping through like Nate's notebook, turning the page, and it can be used for some cool things. I feel like it's underutilized for sure, and you really only see it with first-party developers really doing anything with it. But it's a neat concept, and it seems like they're sticking with it. What do you guys think about the DualShock 4? Think of controllers through the ages. Like, where does it sit for you? Would you say it's one of the best controllers? I would say for me, in terms of comfort, it's definitely up there. It's a bit weird looking, but I'm so used to it that I still enjoy it. But I remember really liking it when I first got my hands on PS4 and be like, this is the main thing that I am happy with the PS4 about right now, is that the controller is way better.
When I first got it, I hated it.
Really?
Absolutely hated it. And I still, there's times I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this controller? And you know what it is? Here's the thing. It's always in any game, I'm like, where the fuck is the start button?
Yeah.
Like, where the hell?
There
How do
isn't
I
one.
press start? Options?
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to press an options button? I need a start button, and I need it shaped like a start button should be shaped like.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, okay, new game. What the fuck does the touchpad do in this game? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I hate the touchpad.
Yeah.
I hate the option button. And the share button is just there when I'm like, okay, which one's the start button? And I accidentally press the fucking share button. I'm like, that's not the fucking start button.
I think you know what? And that's, I mean, we could talk about that. They got rid of start and select, the fucking classic. I think it didn't make sense for a long couple generations, start select, in my opinion. Like, what does it even mean?
The game, and it like opens menus, and it's just like, I know what it means. Options.
I know. But what did select mean? Select was like a dino. It was like, select was a relic. We got to be honest. Like, select, you back in the day, like on NES, you would use select, and it would actually move you down. Like, oh, I'm going to choose 2-player. You press select, it'll move you down.
Right.
Whereas now you just do that with the D-pad. Like, select actually
Select was always a useless
selected
button,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, and maybe we could say that too. But I think there's something nice about the start button, and even starts like it's just nice. But I think
It has meaning to me.
options makes more sense, and for like the newer generation of like human beings playing this, like they probably don't know. They're like, what's start and select? Like, they know what it means, but like, why? Why?
Like, start to me also means like pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Options. I want to pause the game. I don't want any options. I just want to pause the fucking game.
Yeah.
How do I do it?
And sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think you should switch the options button for the start button, and then take share and make that options.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good compromise.
Yeah.
Add the share capabilities within the options section, and make that go to like your.
Or just
settings.
swipe up on the useless fucking touchpad to share.
And the touchpad, I
Joe,
feel
you're
like
really passionate about this
hate the
touchpad.
the touchpad. I think it makes sense. Like with Final Fantasy 14, especially, I'm seeing why, is it enables for certain games where they're porting over just like a mouse kind of control.
But that's like the only game I've seen that uses it is Final Fantasy 14. And it's like an MMO, and
Yeah.
we're not getting any more of those on the PlayStation.
Probably.
And I think what it ends up being is it is basically a start button. It is like bring up your map.
And that's the thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, which one's the start button? Is it options? Is it the fucking touchpad?
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much for me, and it pisses me off in every game. Like I guess I've owned a PlayStation 4 for 3 years, and it's still, I don't know what the hell to do with these buttons.
Yeah. Well,
And okay, so we can move on to the triggers. I don't know. I'm not sold on the triggers. I like the old, just clicky style
really.
bumper buttons.
I like the triggers, man. I don't know. They just feel nice to me. Like, I feel like the tension is a good
I just
good
like
amount.
a nice crisp click.
And
Click,
I can only really compare it to like the Xbox controller, and I love the triggers on PlayStation 4 compared to the Xbox controllers much more. But that's just
I do. I agree there. For me, I don't know.
so the trigger game is just weak for you right now,
I have a thing like,
and you're triggered.
No,
ironically,
I have a subconscious thing with the trigger buttons. When I'm waiting for something, I have a thing where like I do this weird thing where I go like this with the friggin' bumper buttons, and they all have that nice uniform feel, and it's just like soothes my soul. And now I got a trigger button that doesn't work.
Can we talk about this, Joe? Because I do this. I love video game controllers. I love sometimes if I can't play video games, I just hold a controller, press some buttons, just like listen to the clicking sound. Like it soothes me too, man. I know exactly. Like some of the video game controllers just feels nice. Even the shittiest fucking controller like N64, like holding it is like. I mean, that doesn't do quite as much for me.
No.
It makes me a little bit angry, actually, to be honest. But held one the other week, and it was
Yeah,
It
at
was-
Brandon's.
yeah, it was all right. It was all right.
But honestly, I pulled the PlayStation 3 out when I moved, and I had the controller in my hand. I was like, oh, this is just great in the hand. I love it. It's a little bit smaller. It just feels like the plastic is like cheap, nice,
Used to
cold
smaller things in your
plastic.
hand. I get it.
Well, it's just like it's nice and cold in my hand, and the bumper buttons. It's just comfortable. Like,
Why is it cold?
Because
Why would it
I
be
feel
more
like
cold?
it's a cheap. So the PlayStation 4, I think, added a little bit nicer feeling
Yeah.
rubber.
Yeah, more
And this
grip.
is just like cold, hard plastic in the hand. I'm like, this is nice.
Do you feel like when you throw your controller in anger that the PlayStation 4 controller will do more damage?
It has done more damage. I had to fill in some holes when I moved out of my apartment.
God.
Not even just holes, like just huge dents
Oh my god.
in the wall.
Dude, I want you to film yourself sometime getting playing a fucking hard, like playing like fucking Dark Souls or something,
Yeah.
and just see you. I just want to make a montage of you just freaking out. Your
The thing
controller.
is, I never broke a PlayStation 3 controller, but I broke like one throw. I broke a almost perfectly good PS4 controller. Like
That's
it
like-
needs to hold up to more than one throw.
One throw, man. This controller sucks.
It's just maybe you can fix it for me.
I can.
Because-
Well, I can only fix the analog sticks.
Oh, it's a bumper. It
Yeah,
just doesn't work anymore.
I can fix it if you buy new bumper pieces. You can fix it, Joe, because you're smarter than me.
Yeah.
If I can do, you're like, yeah.
Well,
I love that.
I saw you like doing some lab. I feel like Nick had a picture of you doing some lab work on like.
Yeah, I fixed his controller.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
You're
But Nick
getting a
could have done it too, but he
reputation.
just wanted me to do it. But he totally could have done it. Like anyone who can watch a YouTube video can fix their PlayStation 4 controller pretty easy. And I've tried to fix PS3 controllers, and I did not have as much luck. But I also don't think I watched a YouTube video. I think I just tried to do it on my own. So that
Yeah.
could have something to do with it.
Maybe.
So I didn't really like the PS4 controller that much starting off.
Yeah.
I felt coming into this generation from mouse and keyboard and playing a lot of PC games, it's like night and day, especially where you're playing games with a lot of like action and turning and stuff. It's hard to kind of adjust, but I feel like the more I've played with it, the more I love this controller.
Yeah.
The aesthetic, it's probably my favorite looking controller in years.
I like it a lot too.
The like crystal
Yeah.
controllers with the like kind of see-through plastic.
Yeah.
Similar to like the old like GBAs and N64s and stuff. Beautiful.
Okay.
I love that look.
I like it too, man. And like I said, I love the way it feels too.
Yeah, it feels great. And again, playing a lot more action games, especially recently with Nick and Joe, like Spellbreak and stuff. I have a new appreciation for it. It's working for me. My sensitivity, like I'm getting down, and it's like I'm starting to really get used to it. And
Yeah.
I really like it.
So-
I think objectively, even I would admit it's a better controller, but it's just I don't know.
The
I would
original
rather a
DualShock
shittier
is a
controller.
nice. I mean, the original DualShock is iconic. One of the most iconic controllers.
Right.
Too, it's like I can't throw any shade at it.
Yeah. Also, PS4 controller's too heavy. I like that cheap, shitty feeling old controller that weighs nothing because it's dirt cheap.
The PS3 controllers, especially, were light.
Yeah,
lighter
I
than
love the light
lighter
controller.
than like the PS2.
Yeah.
So there's one thing we should talk about the controller that I think a lot of people mention, and I'm surprised actually this hasn't come up, but the light.
I like the light. I
The
love
light's
it, don't
cool.
like the light.
Wow.
I like the light too.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are the oddballs. 'Cause I hear, like, I've listened, video game podcasts and stuff. People are always complaining about the light shining in the TV.
I think it's
It's a huge sticking point for people. Like, people do not like the light. And they actually did release a patch at some point that you could actually turn the light down.
Huh.
We can't turn it off completely because it's something to do with, I think it's something to do with the wireless, however the fuck it
Right.
works. And it also works with PlayStation VR as well, I believe. The light has something to do with that. But a lot of people do not like the light. I am a sucker for shiny things.
Me
If
too,
I
me
see an
too.
LED light, especially something that can like shift tones,
Colors? Yeah.
shift colors, like I'm all for that,
Me
man.
too.
Like I'm like, I love this fucking blue light, and I love like when it's fucking red. Like when me and Nick play Rock Band, if you set the control down, it does like a light show.
Oh wow.
I'm like, dude, this is fucking cool, man. And I never really noticed it shining in the TV for some reason, and I usually play it in the dark. I don't know why.
I guess I play on a projector, which isn't reflective because it's just a wall.
Yeah,
So I've literally never noticed any reflection. So
yeah,
I like the colors just indicating like controller, like the player number.
yeah.
Like, is there only 4 colors? Is there blue, red, green, and yellow?
I think blue, red, green, yellow. I think there's pink. There might be a couple other ones.
So that's super cool.
See, I
think
always
that's
thought
really
I always thought the yellow was gold on my PS4 gold. So I was like, this is cool. They got a gold
Gold.
light to match, but I think it's probably just yellow.
No, I think yellow is charging. That's like the charging color.
that's the
I think
charging
pink
one.
is like the fourth.
Okay.
Or
that makes
it's like
sense why I don't
cyan or
see the
something.
yellow light very often.
Because it has white as well.
Right.
And yellow is when it's charging. I think white, I don't know. Fuck.
I like that though. I like that you can, if you're at a party and stuff, like if everybody had like black regular PS4,
These fucking PlayStation parties.
Oh, your place.
you could. I mean, that's more true for things like Smash Brothers, I guess, and
Yeah.
which isn't a PlayStation.
Just
game.
gotta hold up your
But-
controller and do this. That like
You're at a
big mass-
concert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like for the tournament of games, if we were all here with like the same color PlayStation 4 controller,
Yeah.
you could put it down and be like, oh, well, I'm this color. And
Yeah.
come back and pick. I think that's cool.
Yeah. There's been a lot of cool like special edition controllers as well. Like I feel like all of which are owned by our friend Brandon as well. But like that Last of Us 2 one that he has is dope. There's a lot of like the Death Stranding one actually was sick. Are there any? Do you guys have any special edition controllers?
Just my gold.
Just
one.
gold.
I got a
yeah.
black one.
I just got two. I just bought two black. I day one like what impulse buy. I talk about impulse buy. Bought PS4, an extra controller, and then I bought FIFA. I was like, I just dropped $600 for no fucking reason just to
brutal.
play FIFA.
Buy yourself with an extra controller.
Well, you've got a
Well, you gotta
PS5
have
pre-ordered
something.
too.
I just
so
like having an extra controller because I never like having to plug my shit in.
Right.
You know?
that's
Swap 'em out.
that was the only thing I used my extra controller for.
Yeah.
I only got it because Nick just randomly was in Edmonton. And I was like, I want to play 2-player games.
Yeah.
And then I forgot that there's no local co-op on like almost any games
Yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of useless.
It is kind of like I feel like really the only reason to have one now is just so you always have one that's charged, man.
My problem is even when I have two, my controller dies. I grab the other one and I just don't even plug the first one in. So I just have two dead controllers.
Not me. I'm such like a creature of habit. So like if I do that like twice, I'll be in that fucking routine for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I always
wish.
plug it in like religiously.
I'm just like, I'm in a rush to get back to my game. So I'm just going to grab the controller, turn it on, boom.
like if I had to sit on my couch with it plugged in to a USB, I just wouldn't even play. I'd just wait till it's charged. I just couldn't. I couldn't. do it.
I'll keep playing, but like where I have my PlayStation now, it's behind the couch.
Yeah.
So usually, and it's not a long cord, so I'm
Yeah.
playing like this. Is how I play my.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'd have to be playing like I'd have to move my couch up.
Yeah.
To be playing. Anyways, so DualShock 4, I give it a fucking thumbs up. So does Alex, and Joe gives it. I don't know.
I give it a sideways thumb.
Sideways thumb. PlayStation VR. Me and Joe actually got our first taste of PlayStation VR last weekend. Again, our friend Brandon has a VR unit. He's big into Beat Saber and a couple other games. I was actually kind of impressed.
Yeah.
I had never put a VR headset on in my life. And I mean, I can just say the physical effects that I had. When I was playing Beat Saber, like there's parts where you have to dodge out of the way of like these objects that are coming towards you. I like the first time I literally like, put my hands up to shield my face because I felt like I was getting hit in the face. So it had like a real physical effect to me. That impressed me. It was like, and when I put it on, Nick was like, "Man, look up, like look behind you and look up at the wall behind you." And you just look up and it's like, holy shit, that wall feels like it's there, man. Like it's
Crazy.
It was weird. Like I don't think I would buy a PlayStation VR for myself.
Right.
A, I don't have the space. And B, there's just not the type of games generally that I really want to sink a lot of time into.
Yeah.
But I bet if I had one, like my opinion would change. I was pretty impressed, Joe. Were you impressed?
I was disappointed a little bit.
Were you?
So
See, I didn't have expectations for it.
yeah, so I don't know. I envision because the only thing I've tried VR before was like I got one of those little cheap things that you can stick your phone in, and honestly, I didn't think the PSVR was a huge upgrade from that. Like the resolution was lower than I expected. Like
Okay.
it was a lot more pixely than and I don't know if that's just because it's the PS. I don't know. Were we playing it on a PS Pro?
Yeah.
So I don't know if the PSVR is like optimized to get more resolution out of a PS Pro.
I think the resolution is lower than it's not like you don't get the same graphical output as you do with like on your screen.
Yeah, so that kind of disappointed me. And also like the goggle type thing was not what I expected. I expected it was just going to be like a goggle-less and they would basically be a big LCD screen that just filled the big chunk of your vision. And the goggles to me I found super distracting and ruined the immersion. And also the headset just, I don't know, it felt...
The main thing that felt
fit right on
distracting
my
for me
head.
The distracting factor for me was just my friend's sweat, feeling my friend's sweat on my head because
I never
we were
felt
just playing
that.
Beat Saber,
Yeah.
passing around.
Yeah, I didn't
you
feel
know.
that. But yeah, it was not what I expected. I just imagine you put it on and it's just this wide field, like curved LED screen or something that just fills your vision and fits nicely to the head. And it didn't fit nicely. The goggles were, and the resolution was low. So I don't know if I'm just playing the wrong VR. Maybe an HTC.
What about the
Vive or
actual
something.
gameplay though? Did you find the gameplay to be like? To me, it
Game was
felt
cool.
responsive. It's like
Yeah.
what I'm doing in the game world is like it feels good.
Yeah.
At least Beat Saber, it felt
Yeah.
good to me.
I felt like I was
impressed
dodging
with
those
that.
blocks too. Like I feel like I was actually throwing myself around, like actually feeling like, oh shit, I got to get the fuck out of the way of this thing.
Well, that's what
It was
I
convincing,
felt
yeah.
physical. Like, I felt like I'm gonna get hit in the face. It's gonna hurt me. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, obviously I knew it wouldn't, but I had still had that. My body had that. Like my mind couldn't quite catch up to that.
One of the blocks,
don't
like
know.
I went to duck under. I was like, I feel like I'm not low enough. I wanted to just throw myself on the floor and just like go
Yeah,
completely flat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. I think they just need to like I need it in high resolution.
And I think that'll be a
Yeah,
time and,
like the
and a
next
price thing,
generation.
right? Like they probably could do that, but it probably literally costs like $3,000.
Well, you probably would need like a curved 4K type thing or something.
Alex, I know you have. I don't think you've really played VR, and I know you weren't too hyped on it. Do you want to give us your quick thoughts on VR? Is it a fad,
I don't
Or
think
is
it's
it
a
the future?
fad. I don't think
or is it
it's
just
either.
somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think it's some kind of niche thing we'll just kind of have. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere major. I think games like Half-Life Alyx apparently have been really good. And,
Looks amazing.
Yeah, apparently that's like a kind of the one big game for VR that, other than Beat Saber, that kind of takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, I don't think it's something I would ever get into. Maybe I can't say never. Maybe 2 decades from now, when it's like that's just what games are, and you just put your headset on, you're in that world and whatever. But like right now, I just can't see
I
it.
feel like 2 decades from now, like that's probably underestimating the speed
Yeah.
that things like one. I don't know.
I think in 2 decades we'll be lucky if we even have
technological
electricity.
It'll just be a chip in your
at
head,
all.
and you'll be getting images directly fed through like your friggin' neural network somehow.
Yeah.
In 2 decades,
Elon
maybe.
Musk.
I think they'll be They'll have prototypes.
Man, I don't know if this last decade
Might not be
doesn't
mainstream.
feel, like 2010 to now, I don't know. Has it been like maybe overall technology for sure, but in terms of like entertainment and games,
I think phone technology is the main thing that's just weird, weird, creepy.
10 years
True.
ago, there was no VR and there was no like AR even, right?
Nah, dude, Virtual Boy, bud.
Yeah, we've had VR in some forms for a long time, but in terms of at the level it is now,
Yeah.
I don't know when the Rift came out.
So it should be. I guess I should mention that the PlayStation VR actually came out halfway through the gen cycle as well. It came out in October 2016, so about a month after the PS4 Pro and the PS4 Slim came out. So it really felt like they were trying some new things halfway through the console life cycle, and it has been a relative success. 5 million units,
Okay.
I think, is not bad. I think if you compare it to other VR headsets, it's actually probably the most proliferated, I would say. I'd say there's more PlayStation VR headsets out there than at least the other high-end, like, I don't know what, Oculus.
I think the HTC Vive is
Yeah.
the one right now.
But I feel like at the very least, PlayStation VR is accessible. You don't need a super high-end
True.
PC for it. If you have a PS4, sure, it's another like $300 investment, but you plug it in. From what I've seen, there's a lot of wires. It's kind of not the greatest that way. It would be nice if they could get sort of like PSVR 2 or whatever. It's a little bit more streamlined in terms of like you just literally plug it in. That would be great.
Have wireless.
Or wireless. But I feel like it is accessible to people who want VR. Like if you choose between buying a PS4 and a building like a PC you would need to play Half-Life Alyx on, like there's a huge financial difference there.
See, I'm hoping to try the HTC soon to compare because I wonder if the reason I don't like PlayStation is just the PlayStation doesn't have enough power to give the kind of VR experience that I would need to be interested.
And for the price that it came out, it probably is it's on the lower end
and
of the spectrum.
maybe a PC based one does have the power. So I'm
Well-
going to give it a shot.
Anyways, it'll be interesting to see where they kind of take PSVR. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed that PSVR is going to be compatible with PS5. I assume it would be. And I assume we'll get probably PSVR 2, probably, I would say, somewhere in the middle of this cycle as well. I think we'll get an upgraded headset. I could see that happening. And if you look at the PSVR, sort of like the headset, foreshadowing of the PS5 look.
Oh yeah.
Well, think about it. It's white. It's got the white and black.
Right.
Very similar. The PS5 actually, or the VR probably fits better aesthetically with the PS5 than does the PS4.
Probably yeah.
So I feel like they've been thinking about this concept for a while, and I think maybe in PS5 will be the make or break for PSVR. Like maybe we'll see it push on and become more of a thing, but I don't know. Or maybe it'll just be a sort of secondary thing for people who want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's interesting. We'll see how it goes. Like in 20 years, like you said, we could all be playing a VR, and it'll just be like that's the normal way to play games.
Yeah.
When we don't have an actual reality to live in, we have to live in the virtual one. When we just don't have a choice anymore.
Assuming this isn't a simulation.
Well, I think there's like a better than 50% chance that it is a simulation, Alex.
Yeah.
Probably.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Just kidding.
So I think really now let's talk about the main thing that is the draw for PlayStation. That's the games, the fucking games. And they've had a huge assortment of first-party games from Sony Studios. They've acquired a few along the way. I think they picked up Insomniac.
Yep.
Insomniac had developed a few first-party titles for them, but they were actually third-party studio, second-party studio.
Probably second party, but they did do some stuff for Xbox.
Yeah, so they were second party when they were working with Sony for like Ratchet and Clank, and even
Yeah.
Spider-Man. They didn't own Insomniac at the time.
Right.
I think the success of Spider-Man actually probably
Was
was the deciding factor for them
yeah.
buying that studio outright. And it seemed like a no-brainer for years, dating back to like Spyro. But they've acquired a few studios. They actually shut down quite a few studios as well.
Did they?
I feel like now they have a pretty good staple of studios. So I'm just going to run through a sort of list of the Sony first-party games with it's somewhat chronologically. So we'll start with the two launch titles from Sony, and we had Killzone Shadowfall. I actually have that game on the shelf right here.
And that's great.
Have you played it?
This is Guerrilla. This is the game they made before
Horizon?
Horizon. Actually haven't played it. I picked it up for $10.
I think I have it too, and I've never played it.
And I picked it up because I beat Killzone 2, 3, and I beat Mercenary on Vita. So I actually have played a lot of the series, and I enjoy it. Then we also had Knack, which I don't know if you've ever seen Knack, Joe. You probably wouldn't like it very much.
Is there like a tree-looking?
He's like
guy or
he's like
something?
a tree-looking
Yeah.
guy.
It's like a golem.
It wasn't very kindly received, I don't think, made by Japan's studio. I feel like Killzone Shadowfall was like a good game, but it's sort of a mediocre. I don't know if mediocre, but just sort of an average kind of shooter. I think what I heard about it is that for a launch title, it had really good graphics, so it kind of showed off what you could do graphically with the console, but it's kind of definitely forgotten when you compare it to something like Horizon. So in the first couple of years, we had Drive Club, which I think I actually did play a little bit, but I wasn't really my cup of tea. Infamous Second Son, so that was Sucker Punch's first game for the console, and I think that was 2014, and so that we didn't get their next game until just the summer in Ghost of Tsushima. Little Big Planet 3, so the continuation of that series. I don't know if that one was made by Media Molecule as well. I think they might have still been working on Dreams at that point.
Wow.
They were working on the game for a long time. We also had, the annual releases of MLB The Show every year. A lot of people forget that that's actually Sony exclusive. I think maybe this year was the first time that actually they've gone multi-platform with that game.
Oh, really?
Well, Sony probably just saw the sales that they were leaving on the floor. Like, there's no MLB game series really to be played on Xbox. So they were probably like, man, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So that's a rare case where you'll find a Sony game on an Xbox now. But for most of the generation, that wasn't the case. You had MLB Show coming out every spring. Bloodborne. And I feel like Bloodborne was maybe the first really critically acclaimed title that I've mentioned off this list.
Yeah.
Everyone who's played it loves it. A lot of people's probably favorite game of all time. Again, continuing the sort of Dark Souls formula that began with Demon Souls, which was a Sony exclusive, and then they sort of went third party. So Bloodborne, need to play that someday. We had The Order 1886. Now, I know this was a much maligned release. I feel like it was really hindered by its 5-hour campaign that everyone was freaking out, and there was no multiplayer. So it was like a pretty big budget, like graphically impressive first-person shooter, like campaign shooter, but there was just not a lot of replayability, and a lot of people were really disappointed.
I feel like there was a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of expectations for that game.
Yeah,
and from what I understand, it just did not deliver whatsoever.
Yeah. Didn't, like I said, I wasn't really playing a lot of these releases at the time.
Me either.
But one release I did play, which came out in the fall of 2015, I believe, Until Dawn. This from Supermassive Games, I believe. Sort of like an adventure game. So you think of point and click adventures. You're making decisions, but with a horror setting. So really, the point of the game is it's about 7 or 8 hours long, but you want to try to make it through the night with as many. I think there's like 7 or 8 characters, and you want to make it through the night with as many of them alive. And basically, the decisions you make will result in whether this character's going to live. There's like a serial killer guy, and they're out in the mountains and snow, and there's like a Wendigo, and there's like a bunch of shit going on. But it's a really good game, like just high quality. Hayden Panettiere is like one of the main. It's a fun game to play in like a day. I think I got it for Christmas, and I think I played it in a day.
Rami Malek's in it too, isn't he?
Yeah, fucking Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
So that was a really popular game. I really enjoyed it. And I think now we're kind of getting to more of the bigger, more critically acclaimed games. Yeah. I feel like a lot of these games were probably they weren't coming out because they were just being developed like at the time, like end of PS3 and into this. So we got Ratchet and Clank. So this is the reboot by Insomniac Games. I haven't played it yet. I do plan on playing it at some point. We got The Last Guardian. This was the third in the... I guess Ico, Shadow of the Colossus trilogy. This game was in development hell for a long time. I actually played this game. I got it because of a fuck up at Amazon, so I didn't pay any money for it. And it's great. I got it fucking played through that game in about a week. I personally like it more than Shadow of the Colossus and Ico.
Wow.
But most people consider it the weakest of those three. There was a lot of controversy with the character of the Trico, which is like the big bird guy, or bird like dog thing. You would tell him to do something, and the way the AI was programmed, he wouldn't actually always do it because he was supposed to be like an animal. Like you tell your cat to do something, it's not necessarily going to listen to you. Mm-hmm. If it's a cat, it's probably not going to listen to you at all. Mm. Or a dog, like it might be difficult, right? So that was sort of a design that they went with, and a lot of people didn't like it. They're like, no, I just want Trico to do the thing.
Yeah. That would get really frustrating.
And it was kind of frustrating, but I kind of liked it at the end. Like it suited the vibe of that story, and I think it did help to increase your connection with this creature as this little boy. I really liked it, but it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the matter. So I think now for me, this was really where the Sony studios started to pump out true quality, and that's was Uncharted 4: Thief's End. I fucking love this game. Uncharted 4. Have you guys played it yet?
Not yet.
I made it like a third of the way through.
Yeah?
Yeah. I started it, made it a third of the way through, and then I think, I don't know, something happened, and I just kind of was playing other games.
And you had just played through 3 before that, right?
Yeah. And I think...
Maybe you just got your fill of Uncharted.
No, I think I was just... got into like Monster Hunter. I think it was around the same time we started Monster Hunter, and I was just, whenever you guys would come on, I'd do Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
And so I just never, and then like a little bit of time goes by, and I'm like, well, I don't remember where I'm at. Yeah. So I'd rather just start it again.
And with Uncharted, you kind of want to experience the whole story, so that makes sense. But
yeah, I like sitting down and playing the Uncharted games over like 2, 3, maybe 4 days.
So I had missed this series on PS3 entirely, and I love Naughty Dog, but at that time, like, for whatever reason, I just wasn't playing that sort of game. I actually played the Nathan Drake trilogy leading up to Uncharted 4. So like, hey, I want to finally play these games. I think I played all three of those games in like 4 or 5 days. Wow. Like I just went through them back to back. They're relatively short. And then I think I beat The Last of Us. And then I had about a month or two wait until Uncharted 4, and I was just completely hyped and like ready. And like when Uncharted 4 came out, like for me, unquestionably the best game in the series. Most people would say it's 2. But for me, 400%, like I think it's because I had experienced those 3 games recently, and I was playing on new hardware, so I was ready for like better graphics and stuff. So when I played Uncharted 4, I was like, this is my favorite Uncharted. I just thought at the time the graphics absolutely blew me away. Like, just like I think of like the foliage in that game, like it just looks incredible, and like the rain and like just these environments, like just so beautiful, and like the attention to detail that Naughty Dog brings just blew me away. And also the story, it's a great fitting conclusion to like Nathan Drake's storyline, and the ending is amazing. The fucking sort of breaking the fourth wall with Crash Bandicoot, you being able to play the Crash Bandicoot level early in the game, throwing back to their sort of origins as the developers of that game, like that. I just love things like that, and like the fact that they could make that happen, like they had to like work with Activision to get that in the game. That really impressed me.
Did you play them, Alex?
So I got Uncharted 1 with my PS3, and I played it then. So back in, I don't know, the late 2000s.
I remember you were one of the first of my friends who were like, yeah, Uncharted's awesome. You were like, I didn't think I would like this game, but it actually is great.
Yeah, so I played it, Uncharted 1 shortly, like not too long after it came out, and then I played Uncharted 2, but I haven't gotten around to 3 or 4 yet.
And you loved 2, right?
Yeah, 2 is great. 1 and 2, I love them both. They're both great games. I've just been...
Yeah, you'll get to him someday.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Someday.
Anyways, Uncharted 4, great. That was a hype moment for PS4 for me. We also had Gran Turismo Sport, so long running simulation racing series. I feel like Sport was a bit of a departure for the series, focusing more on online.
I'm usually a massive, like I love Gran Turismo.
You played
I grew
Sport?
up playing Gran Turismo games, specifically on PlayStation and the PlayStation 2. And I didn't even bother getting Sport because to me, I liked the single player, but Sport I think was a huge push towards multiplayer.
Yeah.
And they basically killed the campaign. Like, to me, obviously it's a racing game. You play it to race, but it's nice to have a purpose to your racing and have like excuses to do, like things to guide you and feel like you're building up to something. And so in all the previous games, you basically would start with a small budget. You'd have to get a little dinky car. You'd have to win some small races, build up a bankroll, buy a better car, customize it. And basically, it was almost like a little bit of a car RPG.
Yep.
Sport, they took that away.
Yeah.
It was just races. Every race is just an arcade race.
And I guess the one thing that is good is that they called it Gran Turismo Sport.
Yeah.
So it's like clear that this is not part of the. It's like a spin-off basically.
Yeah.
And I think Gran Turismo 7 has been announced for PS5, and that'll be more what you're looking for. Showed it to Gran Turismo PSP, which is my favorite Gran Turismo game by far, and I love starting with a dinky little car. And going through getting the nice cars. I don't know shit about cars, and I love that game. But it was awesome on PSP because me, Dylan, and Chris all got it like right when it came out, and you could trade cards. It was like Pokemon for like cars, dude. It was sick.
So you all just get a different starting car.
You could race each other. You could trade cars and like fill out your like catalog and stuff. And dude, that game is so good, man. And I do have like some nostalgia for Gran Turismo 1 and 2, especially.
Yeah, when I open up a Gran Turismo game, my first decision for me to be happy needs to be, do I get a Nissan Skyline or do I get a Mazda RX-7? Because that's just every Gran Turismo
I go
game,
for the
that's
Hondas, man. I think I started like a Civic.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the only car I know. and that's funny because when I sold you that PS3, that white PS3, I sold you a PS5, and you told me that it didn't work.
Never worked.
It didn't work.
There was some problem with a firmware update that screwed the game, and it just never worked.
I remember feeling so bad. I was like, I still have it. I swear to God, it worked, Joe. Like I remember playing it.
Yeah, I still have the game, but it was a known issue, and that's just
yeah. Gran Turismo 5 was actually, I played it, but it was too much. They went too much into the RPG element. You would have fucking loved it, Joe.
And I was so excited because I actually sat on that game for a long time, and I was like, I have it. And then one day I was like, I'm ready to get back into Gran Turismo. This is going to be amazing. I hyped myself up, put it in. didn't fucking work. I was so frustrated.
I'm sorry, dude. Okay, so we got Gravity Rush 2. This wasn't a big hit, but I feel like it was probably a pretty good game. The original Gravity Rush was a Vita exclusive till I think they made a remastered version. So that's almost more of an indie feeling game.
I've heard a lot of good things.
I've heard
about
good
it, though.
things. Yeah, I've heard like the actual gravity mechanics are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Now this was a big release, and I know Alex, you were hyped about it, and you have the most experience with it, so you can probably speak to that a little bit. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, so as a big Zelda fan, this was really up my alley. I came in a little bit later. I was really hyped for it when it was announced and stuff, but I really wasn't into games. Like, I was just kind of getting back into console games, and this really brought me back into the PS4 kind of atmosphere. It's a fantastic game. It's just an action-adventure game. Most of your stuff is bow. So if you're used to like Zelda games and stuff, using a bow.
Yeah.
But you're a girl running around fighting like robot dinosaurs. It's fantastic. It's a great game.
And you mentioned the bow mechanics. I feel like they were praised, and I mean, we talked about Killzone earlier, but the same developers, you would hope that the aiming would be like a quality element to that game, and it seems like they delivered on that.
Great. It's great. And it was very intuitive.
I love seeing a developer pivot like this. Like, they could really have got pigeonholed into making that sort of first person shooter, like sort of gritty, futuristic sci-fi, shooter, trying to be like a Halo killer, like a dark Halo, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see them go in a completely different direction, and to show that they were capable of making an open world game, nonetheless, an action RPG, right?
Arguably one of the better games of this entire generation.
Mm-hmm. I haven't started Horizon. I think another game I probably bought at launch and never actually got the chance to play it. I always wanted to. Like, I played all the Killzone games. Horizon's way more up my alley, and I haven't played it.
You'll like it.
I literally just started it yesterday, actually.
Yeah. So what are your sort of opening?
So I played
impressions
through
on
like the little tutorial section when she's like a little girl, and I have to say, even just from the starting cinematics, it just like grabs my attention. Like, I want to play this game. Like, it looks sick. I already like the main character, and I don't even know her yet, but I'm like, she's gonna be a sick main character. I like the old dude that's like her mentor so far. I assume he's probably gonna like die tragically soon, but anyway, I'm ready for it. I just assume that she's gonna have to have some kind of motivation.
Well, also she's a child, so as soon as when she grows up, he might just have died.
Yeah, but it's the world has already captured me. Like, the art style of it has captured me. I think so far it seems like maybe like a little bit of sneaking is going to be a major part of the game, or maybe at least it's an option.
Yep.
It seems pretty cool.
You can.
I like the mixture of like technology with like almost prehistoric feeling, tribalism.
Yeah.
I'm just really hyped about it now. And
well, honestly, I should probably play it soon too, and maybe we can do a podcast on it, because I feel like it would be a good one.
I think we went out last night, and then I was just like, I just want to go home and play Horizon.
I'll probably play it on PS5.
I think you guys will like it. The combat it's not Zelda in the fact that it's just not like keep shooting enemy in the face. Like, there is some strategy to it. As
There's
Joe was
like
saying,
weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
You can set like traps and shit too, can't you?
You can. There's a lot of traps. Later on, when you fight some of the more powerful enemies, you definitely need to take advantage of all the traps and all the different types of arrows to remove their different pieces. Cool. And it's a really cool game. It's a really fun game.
One of the weird, like, this is gonna sound weird, like, but I'm sort of on the fence about the robot dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah?
That's just me though. I'm like, on one hand, it's really cool. On the other hand, to me, it's kind of like why the fuck would there be robot dinosaurs?
Yeah, I get like the whole prehistoric, like,
and
they've reverted from like an old fallen civilization, but why did that civilization decide, let's make robot dinosaurs?
And that's the one thing I'm like, it's cool, like it appeals to like my 10-year-old brain, but it does not appeal to my 30-year-old brain.
Do they explain it in like the lore?
Okay.
They explain most of it.
And is it like a good explanation? We're like, yeah, or is it just like,
or is it like
it's a throw?
Actually, we just wanted to have robot dinosaurs. Because they're cool. Like, you can't. Obviously, it's cool.
I mean, you can spoil it if you remember.
So if I remember correctly,
we shouldn't spoil it.
No?
Let's keep this episode spoiler free.
Right.
Let's keep it spoiler free.
I mean, it's
for the episode. You can tell Joe later on.
It's been how many years that it's been out? I feel like anyone who hasn't played it's not.
I don't want to know.
Okay.
I don't want to get
That's
spoiled.
Fair. That's fair.
Alex, just fucking evil grin. All right. So then, coming off of Horizon Zero Dawn, we see that actually this I don't know when this it's not completely chronological. So, but we got Knack 2. We got a sequel. Knack actually got a sequel. Are we sleeping on Knack?
Cerny just like I don't know, poked enough people. He was like, "Let me make Knack 2."
Did he like?
Isn't it his brainchild? I thought he was all.
Fuck. He should stick to developing the hardware.
What's his first name? Is it
Mark
Cerny? Yeah, he's like the tech guy, right?
Yeah,
for Sony. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the one who was really pushing for Knack. I think
that's weird. I mean, I feel like Knack 2 probably improved on the original in every single way. Everybody's Golf. This is another thing.
Things about that game.
Hot Shots Golf, same series. They finally it's been called Everybody's Golf in Japan forever, but they actually changed it so worldwide it's just Everybody's Golf. Joe, I know you played this game quite a bit.
Yeah, I bought it and played it. For me, it was a little weird. It was the first game that I bought and realized that there's a little bit of latency when you have a projector. Because it's like you've got the little timer or the little power bar and stuff. So it took some getting used to, but solid golf game for sure.
How's the single player? Because I feel like
that's all I played was single player.
Okay, nice.
And it's fun.
And you use you can like bomb around the golf course and stuff too, right? Like
you got a golf cart and you zoom around.
And I assume they're all fully customizable too. Like the golf carts are probably customizable.
I don't remember. I assume so. But
seems a game like
I don't
like
really remember.
Yeah, I picked it up when it was on sale. I haven't played it yet. I just figured it'd be a good like tournament games game at the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. And something about golf video games are just nice, man.
Yeah,
Tiger Woods 99.
The real game of golf is also nice. You guys should try it sometime.
I don't want to.
I've tried it once.
It's blow my back out.
It's harder.
Blow
than
my
the
shoulder
video
out. So we actually got 2 Uncharted games this generation. Uncharted The Lost Legacy. This was originally supposed to be like DLC, but it essentially got too big. So they just decided to release it as a standalone. And I think it was at a discounted price. I think it was like $40 Canadian or like $50 Canadian compared to what would normally be 80. A little bit shorter, probably like 8-hour campaign, 9-hour campaign. Longer, of course, if you want to get the platinum. Starring Chloe and Nadine. So Chloe from Uncharted 2, she's like the main character, and you get Nadine Ross from Uncharted 4. So it was cool to play as someone other than Nate. And Chloe's awesome. Like she's a fan favorite for sure, and she's a thief. She fits right in there. Great game. I love it almost as much as Uncharted 4. Same engine. Came out about a year later. Like looks graphically very similar. But just a nice like it came out in like the middle of the summer. It was just a nice like summer adventure game to play through. Like great memories. Like if I were to rank Uncharted, it wouldn't be at the bottom, despite the fact that it's not a main series. And I've played all the Uncharted games, including
The PSP one?
the PS Vita one. Yeah. And I'm very excited for whatever Uncharted 5 is. We also got Detroit Become Human. Another kind of adventure game from Quantic Dream. They were the guys who did Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. Heard a lot of good things. It was also released on PS Plus, so I'm sure you guys probably have it in your library somewhere.
Probably.
I might. I just hope, like, there's been a couple months where I missed, and I hope it's not that one. I don't remember seeing it in my library.
Is it a game that you have some interest in, Joe?
I didn't, but I think, like, last weekend, you and Brandon anyway was talking it up, and I think you were talking it up or something.
Brandon and Nick were talking about it.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
Brandon
Yeah, I think they got us
games.
both, like, more interested.
Brandon loves adventure games, man, and I like them too. I've played, like, I'm a big fan of Life is Strange and like the Walking Dead series, particularly. I always wanted to play Heavy Rain, but it for whatever reason just never ended up playing it. But it seems like good. Man. Androids are interesting plot device. So popular game. Quantic Dream. They've actually kind of gone their separate ways with Sony, so they're not going to be developing exclusive content for Sony anymore going forward.
Okay.
And this game actually later came to PC. And I want to mention actually too, Horizon Zero Dawn later came to PC as well, actually this year. So Sony's kind of experimenting with some of their bigger games releasing on not consoles, well, except for MLB, but some PC games there. So that's kind of interesting. We'll probably get more of that in the future. God of War. This was another huge release, critically acclaimed, won many Game of the Years. Did it? I feel like it won the Game Awards Game of the Year that year.
Yeah.
I've played through this game to completion, and I really enjoyed it. It's not as high, like it's not better than like Uncharted 4 for me in terms of Sony exclusives or like The Last of Us Part 2. It's definitely a great game, and it was my first time playing a God of War game, so that says a lot, being able to jump into this established series with the fourth entry and to not feel completely lost. And it was a soft reboot, right? So Kratos is in another region, and he's older, and you could tell like it continues the story from the original games, but it's also its own kind of thing, and like the gameplay is different. The camera angle is much different. But great game, amazing gameplay.
Did you ever go back and play the others?
No.
It
did. It if anything, it made me not want to play the originals ever.
See, you must have done it the right way. I did it the wrong way, because I think when I saw it was coming out, it looked really good to me. I was like, I need to play God of War. So I started with the first God of War. It's like, oh, this is garbage. And then I skipped to like the God of War 3, and I was just like, it's just not doing it for me.
Well,
so I just never got God of War.
And that's honestly, dude, I never liked God of War.
Yeah.
I would watch Chris play God of War. Like I think I watched him play through like all of God of War 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, gameplay wise, like yeah, it looks fun, but Kratos, I do not like Kratos.
Yeah.
I don't like him. He doesn't appeal to me. Like angry bald dude with a fucking like soul patch or whatever the fuck he has.
Yeah.
But you give him a beard,
Yeah.
and you fucking send him to a fucking
Make him a dad.
make him a dad, and send him to fucking I don't know where the fuck he's in, like fucking
Norse region.
yeah, I was gonna say Sweden.
Scandinavia.
But yeah, like that mythology is just, I mean,
Super cool.
cooler than Greek mythology slightly.
I love Greek mythology, but the fact that you're mixing Norse and Greek mythology is super cool.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a great game. I'm hyped for God of War Ragnarok or whatever. Joe, yeah, I think you should give it a try someday, because like don't even worry about it. Like there's even one really sick reveal that you will totally, just from playing the games or knowing anything with God of War, when you get to that point, you'll be like, oh shit, I can't believe this is happening. I didn't even think this was going to happen.
Okay.
So, and I even picked up on that, not having played the originals. Like I knew enough knowledge to be like, oh, this is hype. This is a hype like twist or like reveal in the game. And that moment, I want to say what the moment is, but it's pretty sick. Alex, do you plan to play God of War?
Oh, I definitely do. I'm still actually excited to play this game. I started it.
You will like this game a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that,
especially as a father.
Yeah,
I feel like you'll get like emotional resonance probably that I might not have. You know,
I love Greek and Norse mythology. I love action games. Yeah, I feel like this game is made for me, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I get to it.
Yeah. Magical axe
Sick.
that you can freeze in midair.
That's sick.
Pretty sick. So we also got Shadow of the Colossus. This is the remake of the PS2 classic. This was remade by Blue Point Games. So they were more known for remasters. Really, they did the Nathan Drake collection. I think they did the Metal Gear Solid Essential collection for PS3.
The HD collection.
The HD collection. And they were known for just doing high quality ports, right? And so now they're kind of getting into remake territory. Shadow of the Colossus, I feel like it came out to the same amount of critical acclaim that the original did, and with also like not probably the greatest sales, but it's one of those games that people love, and you always hear talked about as like the greatest games of all time. I've played about halfway through the original Shadow of the Colossus, and I haven't played this remake yet. The original never really clicked with me, but I liked it enough to want to play The Last Guardian. So I feel like the remake of Shadow of the Colossus I'll probably enjoy it, and it looks beautiful. Do you guys have any interest in Shadow of the Colossus?
Unfortunately,
no, not really.
Yeah.
It's something that I'll never fit in, even if I
It's
wanted
not for
to,
everyone, and
so.
even I'm not even sure if it's for me, to be honest, because it's sort of that minimalistic style of gameplay that is either super refreshing or you're just like, no, this is boring. But they clearly did a good job of this, because now they've been trusted with the Demon Souls remake, which is more, a different type of game, a huger scale remake. And so I'm really excited to check that out. Spider-Man. This is probably the biggest release in terms of sales Huge success. I mean, Spider-Man. If you make a good I'm sort of spitting, Corona. If you make a good Spider-Man game, people will buy it.
Yeah.
I think, and Insomniac, trusted developer, makes, it seems like a no-brainer actually looking back that they would develop it. Now, we've both played it, and we're not crazy about it.
For me, man, it comes back to the open world issues. Just the general issues I have with the open world. You get into there, and you're just like, there's a whole city. Like, what do I do with these buildings? Can I go in these buildings? Like, it just feels so overwhelming to me as soon as you start it.
Yeah. And, dude, like, so I like open world. I get, they can be overwhelming. But for me, I jumped in, and I was like, I was really, like, I heard the swinging was really hyped up, and the swinging felt good. And I was trying to swing, like, the swinging it's good, but it's not, like, blowing my mind. Like, you're literally just pressing R2 and then, like, X. Yeah. And you're just doing that, and it's like, for whatever reason, it didn't blow my mind, and also I'm not a big superhero guy. Like, honestly, Batman and Spider-Man are the only superheroes I really fuck with, anyways.
And this felt,
and that's probably the only reason I bought it. Right?
It feels very Arkhamish to me. Even the movement around. Like, I didn't play a lot of
the combat,
Arkham City, but the grapple hooks, the flying around, like, it felt very similar to that. I think, and it's just.
And dude, the combat was not. It just wasn't doing it for me, man.
It's Arkham, dude. It's just You're going up, you're hitting circle to punch people in the face, you're doing backflips, throwing batarangs. It's the same thing as.
And you know what? I think I would just rather play Arkham Asylum because Batman's just cooler than Spider-Man. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I think that's just a fact.
I think so.
Spider-Man's cool though.
Spidey's awesome. Yeah,
you can't hate on him, but like I said, he's like the only one I would want to like. But for me, superheroes are kind of lost on me. So I'm
gonna play it. I am gonna play this at some point. I just don't know when.
And no, we already got like Miles Morales coming out. There will be a Spider-Man 2. Like, this is going to be a series, and it's going to sell extremely well. And I just want to say good for Insomniac Games because they are a great developer. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm not hot on Spider-Man, but big fan of Spyro and big fan of Resistance. Bring Resistance back. Days Gone. Now, this does not appeal to me at all. This game does not appeal to me. If you can make a game that does not appeal to me, this would be it. And I like zombies. Don't get me wrong, but zombies are kind of played to death, and bikers do just. I don't even fucking. If I got on a motorcycle, I'd be dead within 30 seconds. I guarantee you.
Well, you can't even drive a car.
Exactly. I'd be dead.
Yeah,
so
this game, man, it had so much hype, and then that hype just vanished, and we heard nothing about the game, and then it came out, I guess.
It came out, and it was apparently pretty buggy. It apparently needed like another month.
It felt like they delayed and delayed. I don't know.
I think it's just like, dude, you can't. It's hard to have 2 zombie games in your portfolio especially when one of them is The Last of Us. You know?
I mean, I feel like there's room because, like, I didn't like The Last of Us really. It wasn't for me. Yeah, so there's room for zombie games, but there were other like zombie games out too, right?
Yeah,
like
I just think it, dude.
Games, so
I mean, I love The Last of Us, and it sets such a high bar. Like,
yeah,
Days Gone to me is just like no. I mean, and it is its own thing. Like,
who made it?
It's made by Bend, Sony Bend.
Okay.
They actually did the only game I played of theirs was Uncharted Golden Abyss for Vita, which we mentioned earlier, and that was good. They made a good Uncharted game, but and honestly, I've heard like there's a lot of people who really like this game. I think Brandon played it. I think he enjoyed it.
It seems like Brandon's out.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I would if I played it, I probably wouldn't hate it. I mean, if I really gave it the time of day, but just never really appealed to me. But I think this is one of their weaker. Since we've gone to the sort of middle and late stage of the PS4, I think this is one of their weaker games, at least critically, and I don't know how it sold, but a little bit softer release there. The next game we're going to talk about is Death Stranding. This game is fucking dope.
Yeah,
this game is so good.
I want to play it at some point. I do.
It's like it's so weird. There's no other game like it. You guys would probably. I feel like you would like it, Alex, for some reason. I just feel like. You weren't crazy about the Phantom Pain.
I wasn't.
But I feel like you like Kojima to a certain degree.
I do.
And just this new setting and just the gameplay is so refreshing and it's just like relaxing, man.
Sounds good to me.
And Jude just delivering packages as Norman Reedus, man. and avoiding that fucking rain that will literally age you within minutes.
It's insane.
It's just such a like, I don't know. There's such mixed opinions on Death Stranding.
It's a weird fucking game.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's nothing like it, and I think everyone should at least give it a try.
I think of all the games on this list that I haven't played yet, that's probably the one that would be the most likely that I would try next.
It's a great.
It has been on my list.
Yeah.
I'll just wait till it's like $20 or something.
Just the vibes of that game, like so interesting, and I don't know.
It's a long game, right?
It probably took me like 50, 60 hours.
Yeah. I think that's
like
the
that.
biggest thing keeping me from playing it right now.
And it is repetitive, but dude, I don't know. Death Stranding, it's weird. Like I like forget about Death Stranding, and then I'm reminded of it. I'm like, holy crap, Death Stranding. Like it's weird that we live in a world where that game even exists. And apparently Hideo Kojima just announced that they're working on their new game. So he hasn't said if it's a sequel to that or not.
Saw that.
Yeah.
If it is, I hope they go more action based. I want them to return to some kind of weird Metal Gear Solid type.
And if I'm gonna complain about Death Stranding, it's gonna be that the action elements weren't as good. The shooting and stuff wasn't as fleshed out. They could improve that, and But I also think Death Stranding does not need a sequel at all. And I would love to just see him maybe take some of those elements, like the sort of community, like building things as a player community together in your game world, like take some of those things and apply that to the game, but don't do like a Death Stranding 2.
Right.
That's what I would like to see. Or just do a Metal Gear clone.
Less oil refineries, though, preferably.
God, give me fucking more oil refineries, if anything.
Goddamn water platforms just running around.
I like that. I liked that.
You like that?
I liked it. You have your own fucking oil platform as a base. That's badass.
Oh, we'll talk about the Phantom Pain.
But
Don't
I just
you worry.
wish you could actually go into more doors.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into Phantom Pain. I wouldn't do a
God.
PS4 episode without talking about the Phantom Pain. Dreams. Dreams.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what dreams are? You have any dreams, Joe?
I have no dreams. I'm dreamless.
Sweet. Me too. I only have nightmares. Dreams, Media Molecule. They did Little Big Planet. It's basically it's like a software creation thing.
Yeah.
You make your own games, basically. It's like RPG Maker, but for people who do a lot of drugs.
Okay. Like Little Big Planet is like as about as far away from a game that I would touch as you can get. So
I like Little Big Planet, the first one, but it's it's weird. Dreams doesn't really appeal to me. It seems like it's not a game though. It's not really a game. It's like software. Ghost of Tsushima. So we're getting into late PS4 current times, basically.
Yeah. And we
did a whole episode on Ghost of Tsushima. It's great. We all like it. The Last of Us Part 2. In my opinion, this is the best first party exclusive that Sony has made ever.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Fuck the haters and people who can't handle the story, people who get too attached to their fictional characters and who can't fucking handle things not going the way they wanted it to. Last of Us Part 2 is amazing. So you know what? I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything negative about The Last of Us 2 on this podcast or The Last of Us 1. If I do hear it, I'll just walk out. And the PS4 exclusives actually aren't over yet. Miles Morales, it's cross-gen. So that's coming out on November 12th, and that will be on PS4 as well. Right. And to my sort of horror, when they announced that Horizon Forbidden West was actually going to be on PS4 as well, that was a bit disappointing for me. Miles Morales, I understand. It makes sense. Spider-Man's too huge to leave that money on the table, right? But
sure.
Forbidden West, has scheduled for 2021 sometimes. I was sort of hoping that would be more of a PS5 exclusive, but I mean, also, I could see why they would want to release them on both. Like, you have 100 million units, and there's going to be, they hope for like 7 million PS5s by like next year, maybe sold or something like that. So,
no, it was more than that. It was, I mean, production wise, they were at 11 and they wanted 15, I think. Yeah. But
the install basis wouldn't be. I could see why they would support that for the first year, and like we are getting Demon Souls as an exclusive PS5, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be playing Miles Morales, obviously, after my opinion of the first game, sadly. So that's most of the exclusives, really. Is there anything I missed? Like I left out some of the smaller titles, but I feel like that's pretty good look at all the different big games that Sony is coming. That's a pretty impressive list.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
it would be interesting to like look at the Metacritic average for a lot of these games. I feel like it would be pretty high.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you got things like Knack in there, which bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone through the first party exclusive games, which is definitely one facet of the PS4's success. But I think, you know, more so than that, and even reflected in the sales, third party games. There were some big third party games
Huge.
this generation, absolutely huge ones. So we're gonna go through some of those right now. Now I'm gonna mention this one at the top because I feel like I have to. Grand Theft Auto 5.
God Almighty.
This game came out on PS3 and Xbox, and it just does not. The success does not stop. This is actually the best-selling game on PS4, 20 million units.
Crazy.
So the best-selling PS4 game is a game from the previous generation.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Grand Theft Auto.
It was a good game.
What's up?
I didn't do
Clearly.
the online stuff that's keeping it alive now, but
Yeah.
I mean, Grand Theft Auto is always a solid game.
I took a chance with Rockstar on Red Dead Redemption 2, and it just.
Much different game. Grand Theft Auto is a much different game.
I know, but Red Dead appeals to me way more than Grand Theft Auto.
Me too.
And dude, what's going on with those controls, man? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Speaking of Red Dead Redemption 2, let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2.
You get used to the controls.
You shouldn't have to get used to.
But you liked Red Dead 1, right?
I didn't play it.
It was the
that was
same. It
my
was the
first
same
Rockstar
issue
game.
with Red Dead 1. But you adjust and then they're fine and they feel right for what you're trying to do, and they definitely don't take away from the game later.
Story, world, very cool, like high quality.
Yeah.
But it has like PS2 controls, and that bothered me. That's just me. Maybe I'm just bad. I'm just bad at that game.
It's a bit weird, but no, you definitely like anyone who picks that up, they're gonna be like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "What the hell?" I forgot how messed up Red Dead's controls are, but
seems like such a
it's
weird thing to miss.
100%. It's like the cost of entry to playing this amazing game is you just have to like suffer the controls. You do adjust, and they're fine, and they don't detract from the game once you get used to them.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's too hard for me to relearn like the basics. I feel like I had to relearn like what was just intuitive and natural to me to play that game, and I just wasn't willing to do
Worth
it.
it.
Obviously, it's a quality. You can't really say the controller is the only thing I could say bad about it. Really, like it's great. It wasn't for me, but huge game. Joe, I know you love it. You absolutely love it.
I mean, just for me, that game is probably the most nicely realized open world I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's like the pinnacle of what you can do when you build like a nice open world. It's not too big. Like it's not one of these ridiculously massive open worlds like Odyssey and Origins, but it's big enough, and it's got spots that feel busy, and it's got spots where you can go and you actually get the feeling like you're going off into the wilderness, because it takes time to get there, and you get like you feel like I felt like I was on a vacation and taking an
It does
escape
take time to get there,
from the
Joe.
world to go to the mountains. It felt like I was actually going to the mountains.
I know.
Joe's
I
mountain
remember-
story.
You always say this. It's so funny.
I love it.
But like I remember playing on my projector, and I went to the mountains. I was like, "This is amazing." And then I went to the actual mountains. I was like, "Well, this is a disappointment." But it's nicer in the game.
Yeah. I actually look like same feeling like Uncharted 4. I'm like looking around. I'm like, and then I go for a walk. I'm like, fuck, this doesn't look nearly as cool.
Yeah.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, we've done a whole episode on this, but I just want to shout it out. One of the best games of the console generation by far.
Yeah.
Another game that set the open world bar up a notch, I would say. And you know what? I'm really hyped for Cyberpunk, but I'm like so much more hyped for The Witcher 4, which doesn't even exist.
It exists in
Yeah.
some form, I'm sure.
I will be fucking there day one, no matter, even if I'm dead, I'll come back.
Yeah.
I will come back to play that.
Did you know? I just found this out, but like there were complaints that The Witcher 3 was actually too long. Like people complained about that.
I mean, it's a fucking big game.
But like, who's like, this game's amazing, I want less of it.
I know. It's I know. I could honestly, someone who got the platinum in that game,
Yeah.
I was like, at the end, I was like, there could be more.
Yeah. I was like that too, and I
Wow.
played
Could be
through
more.
the 2 DLC, like big DLCs. I was like, yeah, I want another DLC. I want 2 more DLC.
Yeah.
And but apparently, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be shorter. They're making it slightly shorter because they said there's
That's
a lot
good,
of people who played the game that stopped at like 80%. Like, don't cater to
I
them.
think
Cater to
what
me.
happens is people they get into the side quests and they don't finish the main story, but really they probably played more of that game than a
Yeah.
lot of games. But you can go through. First time I played that game, I didn't do a lot of the side quests, and I kind of like crit pathed it, and I got through in like 30, 40 hours. But then,
But just
I also
main game,
But
right?
but I also wasn't appreciating it fully, and it wasn't until my second playthrough that I was like, "Oh fuck, this game is amazing! One of the
Yeah.
best games of all time." And that's when I really got in and did everything. And it's like, fuck, I don't regret a single moment. I always say it, but just want to live in that world, man, big time.
I mean, do you really though?
No.
Seems like a pretty shitty place to live.
No, but I mean, also 2020 and so-called reality isn't anything to write home about, really. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake. We did another episode on this one. I'm just kind of going through some of the games we've touched on before. Obviously, Alex, you think the world of this game.
I absolutely. This and
Love at first sight.
This and Breath of the Wild are my games of the generation, and maybe even the last 2 generations.
Yeah.
Like I love this game. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
I think we all enjoy it a lot. Joe, I know you really, really like it.
It's my first and only platinum.
There you go.
Nice, Joe.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, my love is not that high. There's like a few things in it that I don't love that take away from it. But overall, like, I mean, we've said it before, but best Final Fantasy game in a long time.
Yeah.
In a long time. We're always fucking talking about Final Fantasy. We never shut up about Final Fantasy.
Playing Final Fantasy 14.
Never
we'll
have.
We'll have a
Yeah.
podcast on that at some point soon too.
We are.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, you might beat the whole game before I even get to level 50, and all the expansions.
Wouldn't put it past him. So another game that we've talked about on the podcast, but Monster Hunter World. This is a huge game for Capcom. I think it's their best-selling video game of all time.
Yeah, I think it is.
And it's just crazy when you think about Resident Evil. You think about fucking Capcom, dude. Like Street Fighter,
yeah. Street Fighter 2. It's been around forever and remastered.
Mega Man.
and- yeah.
Like the list. Like just dude.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, there's so much. So crazy. Monster Hunter World is a huge success. Finally, like I feel like the success of the Japanese, like it had a lot of success in Japan.
Yeah.
And then with World, it finally like that success
Worldwide.
just went worldwide, and now it's one of the biggest video games. Are you guys still dabbling in it a little bit?
So I haven't played it recently, but it wasn't that. It was just a couple weeks ago I was playing it again. Like I haven't given up. I'm gonna beat Iceborne.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through. I think the campaign right now. I'm about to fight Valkana or whatever.
I'm stuck. I need help. I tried on my own. It's like I'm just getting
help you.
wrecked.
I can help you, Joe.
Yeah, I'll need your help.
What are you against? The Barrioth?
I'm still the same guy. No, I got past the Barrioth was fairly early, right?
Yeah.
I'm against like a dragon type thing. It's in the ice spot on the side of the cliff, and he just jumps around a lot. He's super mobile,
Okay.
and I
I'll
just
have to-
can't get
I'll
hits
have to-
in on him because he just moves too much.
Just grapple on. Just keep using
Yeah.
that.
It's tricky.
I'll help you.
He crushed me like 6 times in a row.
Some weekend when we have time to play, we'll just run in and beat that guy for you so he can move past.
Yeah.
Persona 5. Me and Alex, big fans. This is another big release for the JRPG genre. I feel like this was like a shot in the veins for that genre. And we've talked a bit about Persona 5 already, so we don't get too much into that.
Great
game. For some reason, I don't love it as much as I did when it first came out. When I was playing it, I was like, this game is the best game. But as time goes on, I'm like, it's in my top 10 for PS4 games, but it's not as high as I would have thought it would be.
I love this game to the point of at some point in my life I'd like to play Royal.
I want to play. Apparently, Royal is better,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's just because it's so long.
It's so long.
I can't think about it because I can't think about going back to it. It's like too long to go back to.
It's gonna be like 10 years from now when I
Yeah,
play
I'll need a
Royal.
lot of time between it.
Yeah.
and it's fucking amazing too at the same
Sick.
time. I don't know, man.
Sick game.
But like when I think of The Witcher 3 and going back and putting another 100 hours on that, I'm like, yeah, I would fucking do that.
Wow.
That's just the difference in my mind. We got this really made me happy. We sort of saw the return of Crash Bandicoot in this generation. So we got the Insane Trilogy, which was the remake of the original 3 games. Perfect. I didn't think Activision could do this good of a job. And I didn't think we had ever seen another Crash game of this quality. But the remakes were great. And then we got the CTR, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, which was similar quality. And then we finally got Crash 4, which just came out the last month. And that's sort of not as good as those other 2 games, but it's just nice to see that, Crash can come back and exist in PlayStation 4 in 2020. That really makes me happy.
I wonder if we'll see him come to Smash Brothers.
I fucking hope
There's
so.
a rumor, buddy. There was
Is
a
there?
leaked rumor of a plan to bring Crash back from a couple years ago that apparently leaked from Activision, and it had all those things on it and had Crash and Smash.
It seems like it should.
It makes sense.
I mean,
We'll see.
I want to see, dude, I want to see Sonic, Mario, and Crash
That'll be sick.
in the same, and I guess throw a fucking, what's another I guess you could throw like Banjo there or one of those other mascots.
I think Banjo will be a big Microsoft mascot in the next gen.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely going to push him. But
But yeah, good to see Crash get some love because that was a long suffering series for a while. Final Fantasy 15, second Final Fantasy game here that we've talked about. Mixed feelings, I think, for us. I know Alex, you're more positive on it.
yeah, I am overall. I feel like I died on this. So I fucking fought. We had some bloody battles, me and you.
Alex literally just died. He's like, I can't even with 15 anymore.
I like 15. I think it could have been better. I see everyone's complaints and they're valid. And
I think with time too, like again with Persona 5, like still really high on it. But when I think of 15, like the more space I have from it, the less I care about it. Like I don't care about it very much.
same, it's fallen for me too, especially compared to Final Fantasy 7, where we get like an actual legit good Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
Yeah, my opinion fades like more and more with time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's probably because like now we have another game to pin our hopes and Square on. And we're like, yeah, 15 really was crap. But I was trying to pretend that it wasn't as crappy.
We have the remake series to pin our hopes on. We also have like 16,
Yeah.
which we talked about in the last episode, to kind of pin our hopes on too.
But I wouldn't have pinned any hopes on 16 if it wasn't for Final Fantasy 7 remake.
I mean, same, yeah. I mean,
Especially given the trailer, which we've already kind of covered this. But like the trailer, if we didn't have FF7 remake, I would have been like, this looks like garbage.
shit.
But
Damn. So another JRPG by Square Enix, Nier Automata. Now this is one that I slept on and I haven't played yet, and I want
too.
to.
Me too.
And Alex too. Yeah. Looks great. Platinum Games. Nier. There was a Nier game on PS3. I think it was kind of a weirder game. Like
Was that?
it had its fans.
Is that the original of Replicant or whatever? The one that they're remaking?
Well,
now?
so in America we got the other version with the old man.
Oh right.
But I know at least one person who I remember saying like it was a good game. And funny enough, it's actually a spin-off of the Drakengard series.
And this is where what I found frustrating about Automata is like I don't know how to jump into it. 'Cause
I think
don't
you
know
just
what the hell's going on. With
I
the
think
lore.
just jump in with Automata, man.
Yeah, I think
it seems like its own thing. And all those other games were like C quality at the best, Like Drakengard, I remember those games and they're probably fun enough, but they're not great. Dragon Quest 11, this game is just wonderful. It captures the vibes of like Dragon Quest 8, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Just nice seeing Dragon Quest get some love on a new generation. The great thing about that series is I play every single one, and I know exactly what I'm getting, and it delivers. And it doesn't give me more or less than I expect, and it's exactly what I want. It's like comfort food, and it's just lovely. And Dragon Quest 11 though actually did give me like more than I expected. It was very generous helping, and absolutely love it. Got the platinum. Probably put about 160 hours in that game.
Jesus.
Played it with some of the harder modifications on because I started on normal difficulty, and Dragon Quest is known to be like somewhat challenging for a turn-based RPG, and I felt like that was my one complaint, was that the difficulty was way too low. It was way too easy for a Dragon Quest game, especially for me, where I know what all the spells do. I know exactly, like, the games are very similar, so it kind of, things that worked in Dragon Quest 1 apply to Dragon Quest 11, right? So it was too. So and it was nice that you had the ability to like add some of these modifiers. Like you could have harder monsters. You could have like you couldn't buy weapons in shops, so you can only use like the things you find.
Right.
Different things like that. And I really like that, and absolutely love this game. I know, Joe, you played a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think I started it and I was liking it, and I just kind of, I think I got busy.
Yeah.
And an RPG, I find it hard if I have to put down an RPG to just pick it back up. I feel like I've got to start again, but then I don't want to start again because I'm like, I already started it. Like I'm just playing the same thing I already played, so it just keeps me away.
It's risky. It's risky stepping away from games. I feel like.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on like the Dragon Quest like battle system? Do you find it boring, or do you like the simplicity? Because I love the simplicity of it.
I find it hard to remember now, but I do remember like enjoying it. Like it felt nice. It felt, more, I think, traditional. Right?
Very
like,
traditional.
so
Extremely traditional.
And I like that. So
yeah. Great game, Alex. I hope one day you'll play Dragon Quest.
I'll play Dragon Quest 11 at some point.
I feel like you might love it, or you might be like, this is boring. You might be like, it's too boring.
Really?
Like I like the way it looks, but it's boring. I hope you just enjoy it. I feel like if you're a fan of like Pokemon battle system, I feel like Dragon Quest kind of feels similar. Like the battle system feels kind of similar to me. So let's talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. The Phantom Pain.
You like this game, Joe?
yeah, I liked it. I feel like it felt like a little bit incomplete in terms of.
It might be a little bit incomplete.
Yeah, I don't think I actually beat the game, to be fair. But like, so the actual gameplay, like once you get into like the world, I loved that. But like, I just always wanted more when I was back at like the oil rig and stuff like that. Like I wanted an actual like almost like full blown city and like more interaction with characters back at these.
It was more of a
rigs.
sandbox. Like here's these two maps.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing in them. You're not going to be like building relationships with any like characters or anything like that.
And you know what? They were so close to really nailing it. Like I feel like it didn't need a ton more to make it feel like.
Well, and I mean, the game literally there was a whole third act that like Konami just like were like, no, we got to put this game out. We want to make our money. And obviously the downfall of Kojima and Konami's working relationship, on that game. You're right. It could have been like perfect. It could have been like perfect, but instead it's like remains like a sort of flawed masterpiece for me.
Yes.
But I always go back to the gameplay, man. The gameplay was finished.
The shooting was good.
The shooting the stealth, everything. Like the gameplay was like that game perfected like stealth action combat for me, and that was enough for me. And I love the fucking 80s. So anything set in the 80s, I'm gonna it's gonna fucking up it for me. And also I always just remember, man, I just remember like creeping through a fucking base and you hear that nice fucking you hear like Billy Idol off in the distance, like Rebel yell, and I'm like, I gotta find that fucking tape, man. I'm gonna steal this tape and I'm gonna listen to it, and then when my helicopter flies in, I'm gonna have fucking Billy Idol blaring, which is hilarious when you're trying to be stealth and you just have like
There's a lot of good about that game.
there's and like Kids in America, they had like other good like 80s jams and like heavy synth tracks. I'm like, that shit gets me hyped, and like just like little weird things in the game. And I actually didn't hate the storyline. I feel like it wasn't as good as the other ones, but it also made more sense to me. Like it seemed logical to me. It seemed like less confusing. Like I don't know what the fuck Metal Gear Solid 2 is about.
Comes back every single time we talk about this game. It's all about D-Dog for me.
Yeah.
But like I love that goddamn dog. I love that companion just overall. It's probably one of my favorite companions in the video game.
Yeah. D-Dog's nice.
But my issue with this game, I'd say my biggest issue was the lack of environments. Like the Afghanistan map was super boring and barren. When you're playing a stealth game, it's like you want, especially where you look at the prior games, it's like I know Metal Gear Solid 1, you're in like a base in the tundra or whatever. Not super stealthy, but 2, you're on an oil rig again, not super stealthy. But 3, you go into the jungle and you're like that was probably the most stealth Metal Gear Solid. And then Peace Walker, kind of all over the place, I guess.
I would say like the Afghanistan setting, you start off and you think it's gonna be more of a jungle, and then you get the.
Is that the? Yeah, there's one map where you start off and you're in a jungle environment.
You start. That's when you start. You're in a jungle,
and that is awesome. That little tiny 2 second.
It's like a little patch, yeah.
It's awesome.
And then you go up and it's just a fucking big oil refinery.
I just don't like that. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like the environments. I thought they sucked.
This was this felt like the first big release for me on PS5. Like that got me super hyped because I was literally playing FIFA for like a year or two, and then I got The Witcher 3, and then I think Phantom Pain came out in that September, and that was like the game that I was hyped. So I was ready to be hyped for it. I was just I was in a pause. Like that was like my big PS5 game. So it means a lot to me. I really like this game. It's one of my favorite Metal Gear Solid games, but it's so super flawed, and it's just disappointing in the fact that could have been another year of development. It could have been so much more. Could have been like not divisive, basically, not as divisive. Especially the microtransactions and stuff too weren't great.
They should have added. Hater should have been in this game. That's the problem.
Oh, you don't like fucking?
I like the idea that he is
What's his name?
Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah.
I like him as like the punish snake, like the medic who
Yeah.
becomes this alternative big boss. But I think when they showed the original big boss, that should have been Hater, because that is
because
his
it's weird.
voice.
It's weird that the original didn't. That didn't sit well with me either.
But
yeah.
Kiefer should have been the new one, which I do like.
Yeah.
But yeah, Snake is Snake. Man.
That was a crazy twist, man. I liked the twist, but a lot of people weren't crazy about it. Kingdom Hearts 3, Alex. This is probably your biggest, most hype release.
Yeah, other than Final Fantasy, this is my
other than remake. Yeah,
this is. I love Kingdom Hearts. This is one of my favorite series. Yeah, it was good. It kind of was what it was supposed to be, but
it felt like a PS2 game in a good way. It felt like it hadn't changed much since those days of like Kingdom Hearts 2.
it needs. I think the series needs a refresh. I hope whatever they do with the next game, I think they need to take a step back and do something different. I honestly, you know what I want from the next Kingdom Hearts game? I want them to remember.
Rhythm?
No, not that one. Remember before I was kind of went down this deep train one night of a Final Fantasy 15 verses.
I feel like you go down there every night.
I know, dude.
You're on that train every night.
But I think that's what they need to do. This Varen Rex, this Yozora character. I think if you take him and you focus on his like side dimension, and he's the main character for this game, and you're going through, and it's like just an action game.
You want to just get rid of the Disney out of that game?
Yeah, in that game, I don't think you should have any Disney. I think that should be a standalone world and storyline within the Kingdom Hearts setting that is similar to Final Fantasy 15, and just build that up, and that'd be fun as hell.
I mean, dude, that sounds great to me. I liked Kingdom Hearts 3. You know, I felt like I wasn't super hyped for it, but I feel like I needed to play it. Like it was like I beat 1 and 2. I was like, I'm like honor bound to like at least see out this trilogy. Right. That's how I felt, and it was thoroughly enjoyable, dude. Fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. What's that world called? It's just called fucking Caribbean.
Yeah,
it's the Car. Oh yeah,
you platinum this game. I still haven't platinum this game.
I didn't platinum this game. Not quite, but I do have the platinum. Yeah, the Caribbean, dude. Love it. Favorite open world all time.
All time?
No, dude. But I like it as a mini open world.
Yeah,
this is great.
Cool little islands.
Yeah, it's nice seeing like the hyper realistic people against like fucking Donald Goofy and fucking Sora with the big ass boots. Few more games here. Neo. Did you ever end up playing Neo, Alex?
I own Neo. I started Neo, but I just forgot around to it.
Yeah,
playing through it.
Yeah. Looks cool, but never really.
It's supposed to be difficult, right?
It's like a Souls-like for sure.
I stay away from anything Souls, remotely close to Souls.
Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. These were pretty big games. I actually own both of them. I played 2 about 4 or 5 hours into it, or maybe not even. Maybe like two hours. Great games. Scare the shit out of me. I need to fucking build up the confidence and go through these games again. This episode went way longer than I thought it was going to.
Have fun editing.
I don't even. Fuck. I don't want to.
Just throw it out there in all its glory.
Yeah, so that was our episode on the PlayStation 4. Looking back at the PlayStation 4, great console. I just want to say before we go, probably my favorite console of all time.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
removing nostalgia. I think if I were to have one console like on a desert island that somehow has electricity and access to every single game,
This would be the
and I had to,
one.
this would be my one because you could play pretty much everything you wanted to except for Nintendo IP.
Yeah.
You know, for me, and that really is it. It's like, it's nothing like, there's nothing so like incredible about it. It just does everything well.
Yeah.
It's just consistent quality. PS4 and
Pair this with the Switch, you got pretty much everything you need.
you're
in
pretty
life.
much good, right? Yeah.
Just
In
never
life.
leave the house.
In life,
In life,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, don't worry about food or air.
Nah, you know.
You just need a PS4 and a Switch.
Yep.
It is what it is. It's good to have you guys in the room though, because
Yeah,
that
it
is
is.
nice.
Great.
You know, and that's probably why we're talking for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sitting at your computer or desk, like fucking talking, isn't just not the same.
No.
Well, now we got a fucking ThinkPad.
Yeah.
So fuck, ThinkPad is the future. And honestly, if anyone is listening to this right now, and at this point in the podcast, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
And you're a fucking saint, and you should be given something. I don't know what it is, but not COVID.
No.
Given something good, like a present or a gift. And you know what? I don't even think I introduced you guys this episode. I don't even know. If anyone's listening to this, normally I do like a little fucking weird intro. Today I didn't even do any of that. I just started
We
talking
did a
about-
weird intro.
I started talking about God knows what I swear on. Anyways, in case you haven't noticed, my name is Jeremy. This is Alex. And over there, that guy, we have the Dr. Joe.
Yes.
So this has been the JoyCircuit podcast. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to stop rambling now and let you guys go home
All right.
to, you know, whatever people you have waiting there, whatever sort of strange circumstances you'll find yourself in later tonight.
Oh my God.
Possibly sexual acts you'll be caught in. Hopefully not by anyone. Hopefully no one's like peeking in your windows looking at you guys at night. But they could be. So remember,
Let's go really weird real quick.
just remember,
It's just gonna keep going.
just remember to close your curtains at night. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.